Clear. Okay, fine. Thanks. So we'll continue with the EIA. Okay, 3 aspects of just I'm coming. So just I want to open the thing. Okay, so 3 aspects. The one aspect is something, the risk assessment. The second is the mitigation plan, preparing a mitigation plan. The third is the post-product monitoring. So in this, as I told you, government cannot conduct a EIA. So that is, this physical activity cannot be conducted by the government. Government does not have the resource. So we allow the private man himself to conduct the entire EIA and give us a report, but the government will cross-check the report and finally the government will take a decision. And once the decision is taken, then when it is implemented, this post-product monitoring will happen. Okay. Now, first we will see the process and procedure of EIA. That is the main participants of EIA. We'll see the main participants of EIA. Okay, so here we'll just take a stakeholder. The first stakeholder is a company. It's a project proposer or project developer. So he's the first stakeholder. So he's the one who proposes the project. Okay, so let me say Adani Group. Just for example, I'm giving an Adani Group is going for 1,000 megawatt of thermal power plant. Now, the Adani, what has to do is Adani Group has to conduct a EIA under the EP Act. They have to submit a EIA report with the EMP plan. So normally, the company will not have the technical knowledge, environmental knowledge. So that's the reason the developer will appoint a consultant who is called EIA consultant. So they will appoint a consultant called EIA consultant. So who is the EIA consultant? He's a private man. He's a private consultant. Now they are subject expertise. They are the SMEs. Most of the time they have the expertise in the environmental matters. So they are the one who will conduct the EIA on behalf of the developer, and they will submit to the government and will get the enviro clearance. So the entire environmental knowledge, EIA process, procedure, EP Act, everything, the EIA consultant will be very clear. So the developer will pay the money to the EIA consultant, lakhs and lakhs of money. So on behalf of the developer, he will conduct the EIA, he will prepare the EMP plan, environment management plan, and submit to the government. So that is what the second stakeholder is. The second stakeholder is government. The second stakeholder is government. So when I say government, it is our Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So ministry only takes care of this EIA because it comes under the EP Act of 1986. So under the ministry, there is an agency called Impact Assessment Agency. So Impact Assessment Agency is a department under the ministry. They are the one who takes care of this EIA activity. Now, first the EIA consultant will go to the IIA and will tell the IIA, such a developer, Adani developer wants to construct 1,000 megawatt in Rajasthan. So first you will give a preliminary report. So in the preliminary report, they will see where is the project location, what is the cost of the project, okay, what is the cost of investment, so what type of expert committee is needed. So that and all they will look for. This Impact Assessment Agency will look for all this detail. And then based on this detail, the Impact Assessment Agency will appoint an expert committee. The Impact Assessment Agency will appoint an expert committee. So expert committee members can go up to 11 members. So normally there will be one chairman and members. So chairman will be the head, there will be member. So one member will be on air, one member will be for water, one member will be for flora, one member will be for fauna, one member will be a sociologist because people are getting displaced from the project. So like that 11 members are there. All the members will work independently. That is, it is not that all the members are reporting to chairman. They will work independently. They will prepare a report independently. And finally, it will be submitted to the chairman. The chairman will compile the report, and finally they will tell whether the project can be approved or not approved. So that is, the EA consultant will submit the report. He will complete the report, EA report and EMP plan, okay, to the expert committee. Now the expert committee liquidate, because so this EA consultant is appointed by developer, right? He's a Adani company, so anything he can write. Okay, he can also underwrite the report. So that is the reason there is an expert committee. Normally the expert committee, he may be a private man, government, anyone it can be, but expert committee is an expert in this project. So normally according to the project only, the expert committee will be fixed. Now this expert committee is expert in the thermal power plant. So tomorrow if it's a hydroelectricity project, so they will bring some other expert committee. So normally the expert committee, when they study this EA report, EMP plan, they can easily identify, okay, whether the EA consultant is telling the truth or not. That is the reason the government appoints expert committee. Now the expert committee will be given 90 days time, 3 months time. So within the 3 months of time, the expert committee has to work with the EA consultant, okay, collect all the data, cross-check all the data, cross-check the mitigation plan, cross-check the investment that is going to be done by the company, and finally, the expert committee has to come with a recommendation. The expert committee has to give a recommendation whether the project should be approved or not to be approved. Not decision, recommendation. Okay, once the expert committee gives a recommendation, yes to the project. So the expert committee says that, okay, we have completely cross-checked the EA report and EMP plan for this 1000 megawatt. So whatever the EA consultant says is true. Okay, he has correctly reported all the data. So he has given the exact mitigation plan. So now, anyway, the damages, whatever is going to be caused by the, because of the project, is going to be balanced by the mitigation plan of the company. So the company is also ready to invest appropriate money for the mitigation plan. So like that, the expert committee will try to work on the EA report and EMP plan. Okay, cross-check it, and finally will give a recommendation whether you can approve the project or you should not approve the project. So once when the expert committee says yes to the project, then what will happen? You see, then IAA will send the report to the third stakeholder. That is nothing but public. So here, under the EA notification, public hearing has to be conducted. So the IAA will prepare a summary report and they will send it to the state government, in turn to the local government, to the district government. So here the environmental developers, so here the environmental engineers, pollution control board, district collector, whoever may be concerned, they will call all the local people. They will explain the project. What is the project? 1000 megawatt project. So in that, how the land is going to be acquired. So how land acquisition policy will be working out, how people will be displaced, how rehabilitation will be done, how compensation will be done. And also because of this project, how the air pollution is going to happen, water pollution, soil pollution, flora, fauna, how the company is going to mitigate it. So everything will be told in the public hearing. So they may take some 30 days time for the public hearing. They will give it, and from the public, they need to get an approval. So normally in the public hearing, some NGOs will participate, even some research institutes also will participate. Sometime the dispute will come, it can even go to the tribunal, National Green Tribunal. So this is where most of the time the protest and all will happen. The public will protest the project. Okay, they will say that land acquisition is not proper, compensation is not proper. So all the things will happen. So now the state government has to take care of this public hearing. The local government has to take care of this public hearing. Finally, the state government has to send a report to the IAA stating that public are ready for the project. The public is okay for the project. Okay, now if you take IAA, so IAA right now, he has a EA report with the EMP plan. He has a recommendation from the expert committee. He has a recommendation from the public hearing. Now IAA will send to the minister, or if it is a big project and all, probably the group of ministers, cabinet ministers, right? Prime Minister, it will go. So finally, the minister or the prime minister will approve the project. Once it is approved, the project is approved by the ministry, that is minister, then immediately what IAA will do is he will collect all the report, EA report, EMP plan, and they will send it to the regional office and state government. Regional office and state government. regional office and state government. Okay, so regional office is nothing but our ministry, central government ministry will have some 4 to 5 regional office across India and central government. The thing is, it is the central government has to implement the project. That is, the developer is going to construct 1,000 megawatt in Rajasthan. Now the state government and regional office has to do the post-product monitoring. The state government and the regional office has to do the product monitoring. That is how the procedure. Okay, again I will tell you and then clarify all the doubts. So the developer Adani Group, here in this case example, will appoint a EA consultant. Now the EA consultant, what he'll do is he will prepare the EA report, EMP plan, okay, according to the EP Act of 1986 under EA notification. And then he will go to the IAA, Impact Assessment Agency. So first he will not prepare it. First he will go and give a preliminary report. So first they'll say what is the project, where it is proposed, that basic data and all they will give it. Based on only the IAA will ask the EA consultant to start the data, start collecting the data, start working on EA report. Parallelly, the IAA will also appoint an expert committee. So now whatever the EA consultant does, that will be cross-checked by the expert committee. Now the expert committee is given 90 days time. Within that, the expert committee has to come out with a recommendation whether the project is a sustainable project or not. Now the expert committee will give the, suppose if they give a recommendation, yes, it is a sustainable project, it's well within the carrying capacity of the ecosystem, then IAA will send a report to the state government, to the local government, district government for public hearing. So under the EA notification, public hearing has to be conducted. So in the public hearing, so probably the State Pollution Control Board, environmental engineer and all will explain the project to the public, including rehabilitation. And then finally they need to get approval, which is called the, public approval. So once a public recommendation, once it gets the Impact Assessment Agency, right now they have EA consultant report, EA report, EMP plan, expert committee recommendation, public hearing recommendation. They will send it to the minister. The minister will give, a minister or prime minister will give a approval. Once approval is given, now the IAA will call the EA consultant, will say that your project is approved. You can go and implement the project in the particular state. The Adani company can implement the project, 1,000 megawatt project in the particular state. So now parallelly, all the document IAA will send it to the regional office. Okay, they will have a regional office. For example, for Southern India, the regional office in Bangalore. So like that, for every zone, they have a regional office, and also to the state government. And then the IAA will direct the state government to implement the project, especially to post-product monitoring, because whatever he has said in the EA report, EMP plan, whether he is doing it or not. So state government hereafter will take care. Suppose if the company is not going as per the EMP plan, EA report, EMP plan, then the state government will take action. Okay. So now, any doubts in this? We'll see. Someone has asked doubts. So someone has raised a hand. So any doubts, please ask me. So in this procedure, this is what the participant, this is what the procedure goes. This is how it should be done. So anyone has a doubt? See, if people reject, what will happen? Again, that is what it's happening right now. Sometime, the government goes, despite of the people protest, what happens, you see, it is not a people approval. It is only a recommendation from the people. So most of the time, despite of that, they start the project. Sometimes, manhandling and all happens. They may also sometimes, just a minute. Hello. Soluma. So that is what public protest most of the time happens. So that time either the government goes for, Lati charge. Despite of the public protest also, sometimes they start the project. So that is what really happened. Okay. 11-member team of the experts. See, again, maximum up to 11 member, it depends on. Really, we do not know how they are appointing. So it can be, they say that it can go up to 11 members. Sometimes it can be 5 members, it can be 6 members. So normally they will have experts according to the project. It can be any expert. For example, tomorrow it may be nuclear, tomorrow it may be industry, it may be chemical industry, it may be automobile industry. So now we have to bring, a particular expert in that particular field. Okay, normally that expert and all, okay, normally they will be an expert in a one particular aspect like soil, water, air. They will give their opinion. You need to understand, see, still the project has not come. Please understand, still the project has not come. It is only empty site. See, EAA is an activity we are conducting before an project comes. Anyway, we'll see the steps in EAA. That is, if this is an empty site, if any project comes in this empty site, what would be the impact of the project? What would be the impact on air? What would be the impact? That is, we are doing prediction. All right. So it cannot be 100% accurate. At least to some extent, it will be accurate. So that is the reason we are involving this expert. Okay. Yes, normally all the expert committee will be expert in that particular respective area. Definitely. Yes, expert committee will not prepare a separate. Of course, expert committee will, based on the EA report, EMP plan submitted by the EA consultant, they will prepare a report. That is a recommendation report. That is individual experts, that is members will prepare a report. Finally, the chairman will compile and give it. So it is not that, the chairman has to, everyone has to report the chairman, majority, that and all is not there. Voting, that concept and all is not there. See, most of the time it is, it's more of unofficial. So normally they will all discuss. Suppose if an air expert comes and says that, okay, now it is not meeting the requirement, then immediately they will call the EA consultant. They will ask him to do some changes. They will ask the company to do some more investment on controlling the air. For example, they find that sulfur dioxide level is more, definitely because of the thermal power project. So anyway, the expert committee, air expert committee say that, no, you cannot approve the project because sulfur dioxide level is more. So anyway, for that reason, we cannot reject the project. So again, we can call the EA consultant. We can say that, okay, go for FGD installer, flue gas desulfurization. Okay, ask the company to invest flue gas desulfurization so that the sulfur dioxide level can come down. So immediately the EA consultant will add it, will change the mitigation plan, will add it, and will say that, okay, the company is ready to invest it. Like that, something, they will do it. It's not a very, like election commission and all, it's not like that. Not like majority voting, that and all, not that. It is an informal consensus will take place. Okay. Anyone can participate. NGOs and all will participate. Generally, in a public hearing, NGOs will participate. We will see what are the disadvantages. That time, you will come to know more. So after this participant, we will have to see the steps. And after that, we will evaluate the EA process and procedure that is happening in India. In that time, you will come to know more. See, people participating in the public hearing, it is the local people. Okay. So that is the local people affected by the project. They can come. Okay. Normally, the leaders, head and all, the local leaders will come and participate. So even the local, normally Gram Sabha head and all will come and participate, but anyone can come and participate. That's not an issue. See, that is what I told you, 6 categories of project. Industry is one category. Under the industry, we have many industries, automobile industry, chemical industry. So if you go to the manual only, you will come to know for which industry it is coming under category A, which industry coming under B1, which industry coming under B2. So that and all, you need to refer the manual. That level and all, we don't want to get into it. That is what, if you take projects, public hearing will happen, but most of the time, lot of protests will happen in the public hearing. They will not get to approval. But despite of that, what happens, you see, the IAA will send the report and the government is doing it. The government is, that is, they are diluting the public participation. That is true that government is doing it. That we will see. Right now, we will see. In the disadvantages, we will see that. See, mitigation plan is something that is when you complete the project, all the mitigation plan should be completed. Okay. So for example, related to air. So now what are the mitigation plan? So you may go for FGD, you may go for desulfurization, you may go for capillary converter, anything. So for water, okay, you need to install you need to install a ETP. Okay, so afforestation. So whatever they say, they have to do it. When the project is completed, that time all the mitigation plans should have been, completed. Normally, anything plus or minus, the action will be taken by the state government. So some doubts, post-project monitoring and all, actually it is not, we will see there, it's very premature to say. So after the steps, you can ask for some more doubts. Okay, I will tell you what are the problems right now we have in this procedure. Expert committee, definitely they can oppose the project. See, expert committee is a one who has to bring he should all be a neutral man. Am I right? So normally expert committee, if he comes to know that the project is going to be, is going to be beyond the carrying capacity of an ecosystem, he can come out and give a recommendation. Okay, but it is not a decision. You need to understand. See, if expert committee says X for the project, whether the minister can say no for the project, yes, the minister can say no for the project. So it's not that expert committee is not giving a decision. The expert committee can say yes for the project, the minister can say no for the project. If the expert committee says no for the project, that time the minister cannot say yes for the project. That time what they will do is they will appoint another expert committee and they will ask for another report. So normally what happens, you see, that time, so they will choose expert committee according to their wish. Those who are very handy, they will choose it. That is what actually is really happening. See, actually, in reality, none of the project is rejected by the expert committee. That is what they say. So we will see what are the disadvantages. Okay, first we will see the steps and then we will evaluate this process and procedure. Now come to the steps. So whatever we have seen, this is what I'm going to tell in the steps. The first is screening and scoping. So of course, screening is one point, scoping is one point, but I just put it as screening and scoping. Screening and scoping. So here, the first and foremost thing, before an EA consultant, first the company, in this case, Adani company, 1,000 megawatts. The EA consultant will be appointed by the Adani company. Now hereafter, the Adani company will say the EA consultant, now it is your responsibility to get a Enviro clearance. Now the EA consultant has to do the EA, has to prepare a EA report, EMP plan, go to the ministry, get the approval and give it to the Adani company and support till implementation. Till the post-product monitoring, the EA consultant has to be engaged. So now, first EA consultant immediately will not start the work. He will go approach the IAA. Well, first they will give a preliminary report. So in the preliminary report, it is something called screening will happen. The IAA will do a screening. So they will see what is the project plan. Okay, what is the scale of investment? Okay, what is the scope of what is the location of the project? What is the type of the project? Who is the investor? Okay, so what is that? What category it comes? Whether it comes under A category, B1 category, B2 category. So that and all, first they will do the screening. Okay, so they will go for a screening first thing. Now, in this, the very important is location, because you need to understand the IAA is under the Ministry of Environment. It is sitting in the Delhi, but you will be proposing a project in Rajasthan or Odisha in a particular district. So the IAA who is sitting in the Delhi, he does not know what it is, where is the project and all. All right, he cannot come there and see it. So that is what normally they will ask for a survey, layout and all. They will ask for a survey and all. Now here in the location, first thing whether they will look for whether it comes under the forest region. In the location, suppose if it comes under the forest, within our forest, we have divided our forest as go area, no go area. The ministry has divided the forest. Some of the good forest, dense forest and all, no go. That is, no project will be allowed. Okay, some forest and all, maybe light forest, probably projects will be allowed. Suppose the project proposal, what you give falls in a survey number, that is a forest region, which is no go, immediately they will say that project will not be, don't carry out this EAA. Okay, so they will look for what type of forest. Suppose if it falls, if your project falls in the national park, then you need to go and get a separate clearance from the NBWL, National Board for Wildlife. Anyway, if it is in the forest, first and foremost thing, you need to get a forest clearance. I told you, no, Forest Conservation Act. Under the Forest Conservation Act, you need to get a separate clearance called forest clearance. Okay, that is separate from enviro clearance. Suppose your project comes in the forest range. Suppose your project comes in the coastal, you need to get a separate clearance called coastal clearance. That is directly under the EP Act. Okay, that will be another authority. So you need to apply the coastal, because in the coastal and all you have restriction. So if you are going construction and all beyond a particular story, you cannot do construction like that. Many restrictions are there. So that and all you need to oblige it. So first they will look for location, type, investment, that and all they will look for. And then they will scope the project. Scope the project is, see, when an impact assessment agency comes to know about a project, by the time itself they know what is the potential impact of the project. What is the potential impact of the project? What is the mitigation possibility? Okay, what type of expert committee is needed? Okay, what type of monitoring is needed? So for this, they will have a published guideline. They will have a published guideline. That published guideline, they will follow it. That published guideline, they will follow it. This is what the first step, screening, scoping. So they will do it. After that only, once everything is satisfied, then only the IAA will tell the EA consultant to start collecting the data, to start conducting the EA activity. Okay, by the time the IAA will also appoint an expert committee. Okay, so expert committee will also be appointed at the same time. Parallelly, he will also ask the EA consultant to start the EA activity, start collecting the data. So that is what the second step is, collection of baseline data. Now the EA consultant will start collecting the data. So what data will collect? Yes, it's nothing but enviro component. When you take data, there are two types of data in statistics. One is called primary data, secondary data. Primary data means, that is, if you go directly collect data from the site, it is called primary data. If you take a historical data, if you collect the data from Pollution Control Board and all, for last 10 years, what was the pollution level, then it is called secondary data, historical data. So normally both the data has to do, of course, the EA consultant will go directly collect the data. So what is the data will collect? First, you will collect the air data. In air data, what you need to collect? So what are the air data you need to collect? So here you need to see the air quality. So air quality means in the empty site, of course, the project is not there. In the empty site, first, what is the present 12 quality standards? Am I right? So what is the nitrogen dioxide level? Sulfur dioxide, they will measure the nitrogen dioxide level, sulfur dioxide level, particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter, 10. Okay, carbon monoxide, benzene, benzopyrene, nickel. So all the, they have to measure, they have to record it. And also parallelly, they should also see what is the wind speed in that region, wind direction. All right. So if any pollution comes, in which direction it will move. So that data and all they have to collect. So it's all, everything is technical. We don't want to get into the detail. So everything is a technical activity. So that they will collect. The second is water. In water, what they will collect? So they will see first they will go to the nearby, they will take samples of groundwater. If there is any river passing by, they will take the sample of river water. And also they will take multiple sample of lake water nearby. Multiple sample they will take it, and they will calculate the BOD level, COD level, DO level. Am I right? So which we have seen already. So you need to calculate DO, BOD, okay, COD level, and also sometimes there are other indicators. Okay, MPN level. So what is the total dissolved salts? So water quality. So that and all they will look for. Am I right? So what is the surface level? What is the ground level? What is the total amount of groundwater, ground level it is there? So that and all they will look for. Then the third one, they will look for the noise. Okay, so what is the level of noise in dB? Level of noise in dB. So morning time, afternoon time, evening time, night time. So that and all they will measure. Then comes the biological environment. Now here the EA consultant will collect what all the list of flora is available, what are the different types of plant species, what are the angiosperms, gymnosperms, lichens, anything. Okay, fauna. So what is the different types of fauna, amphibians, reptiles. Okay, so that everything you need to collect. The list of flora and fauna. Okay, what is the status, everything they have to collect. Okay, and then they should also collect about the land. So especially soil pH, what type of soil drainage and all. In that also, they will also collect if there is any historical monument. Suppose any archaeological, historical monument, heritage sites and all. Suppose if it is going to get displaced, that and all you should report. You should say that, okay, so such a particular historical monument, normally they will not allow it, but you have to report in that site if any falls. Okay, so that and all. And also they will also look for the people. How many village peoples are there? So how they will get displaced? So what type of agriculture activity, what type of activity is going on? So all the data he has to collect. This is what his job is. This is what the biggest job, field work he has to do. Okay, collection of baseline data. So once it is collected, normally he will go and give it to the expert committee. Okay, then the next is an important one, that is impact prediction. So now you know what is air quality. So now you know, probably you will say that nitrogen dioxide level, it's an empty site. Nitrogen dioxide level is this much, sulfur dioxide level is this much, particulate matter is this much. Now he has to tell, suppose my 1000 megawatt of power project comes in this field, nitrogen dioxide, how much it will come? For example, let me say that nitrogen dioxide is only 10 ppm at present in the empty site. If 1000 megawatt of project comes, my nitrogen dioxide level will come to 700 ppm. Sulfur dioxide is only 30 ppm. So when the project comes, it will come to 1000 ppm. Like that, he has to do a prediction. So this prediction is based on past experience. Basically, we know 1000 megawatts now, we know how much it will come, right? By this time, past experience. They will also go for computer and mathematical modeling. So completely technical activity. They will use it, they will do a prediction. Okay, in that prediction, of course, accidents also they have to predict. Suppose if a nuclear power project, nuclear power plant, if any explosion happens, so that and all they have to tell. Suppose if explosion happen, what is the accident? That also prediction they have to do. Suppose if any explosion happens, okay, how many kilometer the rays will go, how many people will get affected, how many people will die, everything they have to tell. So that is what they have to tell. So okay, the damages, whether the damages is going to be reversible damage or irreversible damage on the environment or accident or anything, whether it is going to be temporary damage or permanent damage. So everything prediction, they have to come with complete prediction with data. Okay, now the next one is very important for the EA consultant. This impact prediction he will give to the expert committee. Now this is where the role of expert committee. So the expert committee sees it is 100 ppm. The present the project is not there in the site. The present rate is 10 ppm. If 1000 megawatt comes, 700 ppm. So now who knows it? 1000 megawatt comes, it can be 700 or it can be 1000, it can be 1500 also. Who knows it? Definitely expert committee will know it. So whether he is telling a truth or not. So because expert committee knows that if 1000 megawatt comes, whether it will come to 700 or 500 or 800 or 1000. So that is where the expert committee will cross check. Okay, so that is the reason we are appointing the expert committee. Otherwise, so whatever the EA consultant says, we have to accept it. So we need to see whether EA consultant says the truth or not. Okay, then come to the next one is mitigation plan. So now how we are going to reduce this? For this, he has to tell, the EA consultant will tell, okay, now nitrogen dioxide level, okay, I will go for a, a particular type of electrostatic precipitator, a particular type of a clean technology. So because of that, from 700, it will come to 280 ppm. So that is well within the carrying capacity. This is what CPCB norms. So SO2, 1000 ppm right now, because of the project, 1000 ppm will come. I'm going to install a FGD, 2 FGD I will install. It will come to 420 ppm. So now for the CPCB says that 420 ppm is a permissible limit. So now it is well within the carrying capacity. Like that, he has to give. So BOD level, DO level. Okay, now I'm going to install a STP, ETP. So like that, everything he has to bring a mitigation plan. Okay, for the flora and fauna and all. So how the damages can be rectified. So whether it can be relocated to some other forest, whether it can be relocated to some other national park. Okay, so afforestation, whether I'm going to plant trees. So like that, all the mitigation plan. What are the clean technologies the company is going to invest? Okay, what are the company who is going to do investment in terms of cost? How the people are going to be rehabilitated? How the people are, whether the people are going to be given employment in that company? So land acquisition. So everything he has to come. Now it will be cross-checked by the expert committee. Okay, the expert committee knows it. So because of the clean technology, whether it will come to 280 or not. So that and all has to happen. So by the time itself, they will prepare the EA report and EMP plan. By the time it will be cross-checked by the expert committee. So if your expert committee has a doubt, he will call the EA consultant, he will cross-check it. If the expert committee is not satisfied with it, he will call the EA consultant and he will ask him to invest. He will ask the company to invest more on the mitigation. Now EA consultant will go and talk to the company, say that, yes, we need to invest more. So probably whatever the EA consultant says, the company will also do it if it is the procedure. Okay, that is how it will happen. Okay, see, after a long time, you're asking what is EMP plan? EMP plan, I told no, environment management plan. It is a mitigation plan. Okay, that is what the company says, how I'm going to reduce the effect of the damages. Okay, then comes the fifth one. It is public hearing. By the time the expert committee gives the recommendation, okay, we need to go for a public hearing. So here where a lot of protest, everything will be happen. So some or other way, you need to cross the public hearing. And once the public hearing is done, the IA consultant will send the report to the minister. So decision making has to be done. So most of the time, based on the EA report, EMP plan, expert committee recommendation, public hearing recommendation. Okay, and very important is cost benefit evaluation. This also we need to see. Government has to see, because the company is going to take resources. So if it's a mining company and all, they are taking resources one side. Okay, the other side, because of the project, there is a lot of damages. One side. Anyway, air pollution, water pollution is going to happen. I'm right. Without pollution, nothing is going to happen. So that is one side. Now, the second side, because of the company, what is the GDP growth? Okay, what is the taxes? How the people are going to get benefited? So that is what cost benefit evaluation. We need to see. It should be a win-win situation. That is, it should benefit the people, that is government and people. It should also benefit the private. Suppose if it only benefits the private, if it does not benefit the people and government, then we should not allow the project. Okay. And also we need to see whether the project is sustainable, well within the carrying capacity. So once it is done, then everything will go to the state government. So state government has to monitor and implement the EMP. Of course, company will implement it. They have to do the post-product monitoring. So in the various phases of the project, because the project may take for 2 years or 3 years or something, in every phases, okay, you need to go and monitor whether really they are doing as per the EMP plan. Okay, that by that, it will be over. Okay, this is how an EAA has to be conducted, but it is not happening like this. Okay, so now we will evaluate. We will do a small evaluation. It is not in an essay book, or you cannot find it in any source. It is from multiple sources, from newspapers, articles, and everything. So it's an evaluation of EAA. We will do the evaluation, and then we will clarify the doubts and everything. So as I told you, there are 3 stakeholders. As I told you, there are 3 stakeholders. So first is the developer and the EA consultant. The second is the Ministry of Environment, the minister, of course, the impact assessment agency, and the expert committee. including the monitoring is done by the state government. Okay, so here public hearing, the local public will be participated along with this NGOs and research institute. Sometime it can go to court also. Okay. Now, so let us take from here. Now, coming to the developer. See, he's a private man, right? So his motive is profit. So any businessman motive is profit. So here you cannot expect that he will be very loyal to environment. But anyway, it depends on the company. There are some companies that are ethical company. So they will be very ethical towards environment. So normally, they will not, they will fulfill all the environment requirements. But you cannot expect that from everyone. So anyway, we cannot get into the developer because he's a businessman. Now, this is what a very important person. Actually, EA consultant. Now the entire activity is completed. Its entire activity is only done by the EA consultant, start to end. Till the post-product monitoring, EA consultant will be there. So of course, he's the one really works. Okay, expert committee also only sees the document. No one knows it in this structure. Even the developer also does not know it. Ministry also does not know it. Expert committee also does not know it. Of course, the expert committee also, it does not really do the work. The real field work is done by the EA consultant. So in and out of everything is only. So he's an important person in this. Now, this person is purely funded by corporate. So who is paying money for him? He is a private company. That's all. He's a consultant, private consultant. He is paid by the developer, Adani Group or whoever may be. Now, to whom he will be loyal? Whether he will be loyal to the government or whether he will be loyal to the developer. Obviously, he will be loyal to the developer. Am I right? He is the one who is paying the money. So, since he is completely funded by the corporate, there are some of the activists says that in many cases, the EA consultant is underwriting the report, underreporting the enviro cost. Sometimes it cannot even be found by the expert committee. Okay, sometimes it can be a situation, right? Because expert committee also cannot get into all the details. Okay, they are only seeing the document. Whatever the data is given to them, with the data only they will be taking a decision. So here, if the data itself is fudges, you cannot do anything. Am I right? So that's what the EA consultant is a one. Since it's funded by the corporate, there is a possibility that, or some of the activists says that they underwrite the environment cost. Because of that, environment is sacrificed. And very important is they do not have, the government do not have any control on the EA consultant. So they lack control. Okay. See now, this procedure, so we cannot blame. For example, if you are working or if you ask your father or mother, every year returns, income tax, IT returns. Just imagine how you, suppose if you are working or something, how you file the returns or how your father or mother file the return. It is only you declare what is your income, right? You are showing your bank account to the chartered accountant. Okay, you are showing your bank account, you are declaring your income. Okay, based on that, the chartered accountant prepares the income tax file, he files it and gives the IT department. Right? So here you can, suppose you don't show the record, if you don't show the certain account statement, if you don't show certain income, yes, the chartered accountant himself do not know it. Right? But anyway, at least here chartered accountant comes under the Act of Parliament. If you take this analogy, at least CA is coming under the Act of Parliament. That is, every chartered accountant, so they have a membership, they have a body, right? They are a statutory. So they are working on behalf of IT organization, income tax. Of course, the chartered accountant, even though you pay money to the chartered accountant, the chartered accountant is supposed to be ethical, loyal to the income tax, to the government of India, because he has been given under the Act of Parliament. So the chartered accountant has to be, the chartered accountant cannot say that I'm getting money from my client, I have to be honest to the client. No, not needed. A chartered accountant is only, since he's completely controlled by the IT, because it comes under the Act of Parliament, he has to be loyal only to the income tax office. But that is not happening in reality. But the thing is, the chartered accountant is a one who has a control. Of course, the government has a control. They can cancel the membership and all. Am I right? If the chartered accountant is fudging the account for the client, yes, the income tax department, of course, they can ask the association body to cancel the membership, cancel the license, that and all they can do. But such control we don't have. for EA consultant. Am I right? So that means EA consultant does not have any control at all. So he's completely funded by the corporate, is completely in the hands of corporate. So by that way, you cannot expect anything from a EA consultant. He can underwrite the report. That is the first accusation. The second accusation, what happens, you see, many people say that, many activists say that many EA consultant, okay, lacks knowledge. Okay, so there is a qualification criteria. No, we do not know. Okay, suppose, okay, fine. If you come from a reputed engineering colleges, so IIT, some topmost engineering colleges, top private colleges or top government colleges, okay, he's an environmental engineer, okay, fine. You may have some knowledge. So you can come from any background. So there are chances that EA consultant lacks knowledge. When he lacks knowledge, everything is gone. That's all. You don't have any control at all. So whatever he himself do not know, then what he can report on the environment. That is what happened. And also it is accused that many EA consultant, even though they may be technically strong, probably they may come from IIT or something. Probably, for government projects and all, IIT only conduct the EAA. Yes, they may be technically strong, but the thing is, they don't have much knowledge on, or they have poor knowledge on ecosystem services. See, for example, if you cut the tree, probably they may say that this much of trees are cut, number of trees. But when you cut the tree, insects are lost. When the insects are lost, agriculture pollination is lost. Agriculture is affected. Now that and all is never recorded in the EA report. All right. So that extent and all they don't cover. So a lot of ecosystem services is lost. A lot of mutualistic association is there. So we have seen from the ecosystem. So now those ecosystem services loss and all is not being identified by the EA consultant, because this EA consultant sometimes mostly purely come from an engineering background. Some may be from the science background. Because of that reason, what happens, you see, this knowledge on ecosystem services, they are very poor. That is also another accusation happen. Okay, and one more accusation happens here is they use only primary data. That is, they go directly collect data. That's called primary data. So normally they don't use secondary data. Of course, in India, we don't have much secondary data also, because of that, if you go and collect data, this entire process happens in 3 months. Am I right? This EAA, 90 days, almost even for the expert committee, it is 90 days. Within the 90 days, everything will be done. So 3 months, the data is collected. 3 months is only one season. See now, a pollution behavior, if you take air pollution behavior during summer, air pollution behavior during winter is totally different. For example, let me say that heavy rainfall. During the heavy rainfall, you take a lake. That time you go and measure dissolved oxygen level, BOD level. It will be good. But whereas during the summer, okay, when more sewage is entering, that time you go and measure the DO level, BOD level, that will be different. Am I right? So that is what, since they are using primary data, they are directly collecting data, and everything is done in 3 months time. So they are only accounting one season. They do not know what is the other 3 seasons. So now it is not getting recorded at all. So for this, some activists say that go for a comprehensive 1-year EAA. But again, it is practically not possible. If you ask the developer and all for power project, if you ask them to environment clearance wait for 1 year, everyone will run. I'm right. No one will come to India, because if you come to Australia and all, within 45 days they're clearing it. The entire project itself they are clearing 45 days. Even China and all, within 60 days they are clearing the project. So already for environment alone we are giving 90 days. All right. Apart from that, they have to get industrial clearance, other clearance and all. So this may not work out. But again, it is one of the biggest disadvantage we have. So now this is what the disadvantage we have. So anyway, the government, what they said was the lack of knowledge on the EAA. So for that, government said that hereafter, every EA consultant has to register under QCI. They have to get a certification, accreditation from the QCI. QCI is called Quality Council of India. That is to prove themselves that the EA consultant is a quality person. They use proper process and procedure and systems. Okay, that's what the government said. So the government said that we are tackling this EA consultant by QCI. So if they get accreditation from QCI, okay, normally what happens is this EA consultant is a quality consultant. But anyway, that and all you cannot say, because you can give a money and get certification from the QCI also. That is what today ISO certification and all, every company gets it. Okay, in genuinely only some companies only do it. Okay, so this is what the problem with the EA consultant and developer. come here to this. So now, when come to the ministry side, QCI full form is Quality Council of India. So try to see this from website. I think it was asked in UPSC also in prelims, I think so. I think last year or something, they asked this QCI, Quality Council of India. Please have a look at it from the website. Okay, now coming to here, ministry. The first thing is, coming to the ministry most of the time, their priority is only development. Environment is not their priority at all. So we'll see, even the recent notification also we'll discuss about it. Most of the time, their priority lies only in the, in the development, because none of the project is getting rejected. All the project is getting approved, despite of, environmental cost or everything. And the second thing is, this entire EIA itself is a notification. Okay, it is not an act. So if I think in US and all, it is an act. EIA concept came only from US and European Union. So it is an act. But here it's a notification. So since it's a notification, every time they change the notification. So if they want, they will change some of the category A project, big project and all, they will put it under B2, so that no approval is needed, no EIA is needed. Like that, it's very handy for them. So it clearly seems that their priority is only development rather than environment. That is the first thing. The second thing is, the problem happens in the expert committee. In expert committee, there are multiple problems. The first and foremost problem is conflict of interest. The main problem is conflict of interest. So it came in the Hindustan time. So I'm not sure whether it is true or not. It came in the Hindustan time very long back. I think it's around 7-8 years back. Okay. The news says that there was one hydroelectricity power project came for a clearance, enviro clearance. So immediately, that is what conflict only I'm explaining. So immediately the EA consultant submitted a proposal for hydroelectricity project. Then immediately IAA, Impact Assessment Agency, appointed an expert committee, a chairman and some members, 4 or 5 members, board members. Okay, then expert committee gave an approval. Then finally the project has been approved. Finally, the ministry has given approval. Then later they came to know that the chairman of the expert committee is a board member of that particular company itself. Okay, so how come a chairman of expert committee can be a board member of the company? So here, first the chairman, he's a ex, IAS officer or someone. When an IAA appoints him as a chairman, so being a government officer, retired government officer, he should come out and tell that it is a conflict of interest. All right, he should say that already I'm a board member in that company, I should not become a chairman. Okay, or otherwise, the IAA at least should know he is a board member of that particular company. Then how IAA can appoint himself as a chairman? So that means it's a lot of collusion between the developer and the ministry, IAA. And also it seems that the developer wants a particular expert committee, a particular member as expert committee. So that means so that he can easily, downplay the mitigation cost and everything, and he can easily clear the report. That is one. And surprisingly, other than that is, it came in the newspaper that one Supreme Court advocate has told, really they are not appointing any expert committee at all for many projects. That is monthly. So whatever the project report, EA report, EMP plan, everything they keep it monthly once. Some 4 or 5 officers, some 2 bureaucrats, 2 ex-bureaucrat, retired bureaucrat, and some 2 or 3 environmental expert comes. Okay, 5 members will come. Morning they will come by 10 o'clock or something, sit in a conference hall. They will take all the report, they will sign the report, and they give it and they go off. That is also one Supreme Court advocate says. We do not know what is the reality. So again, the question comes, how the expert committee is appointed? Really, the expert committee is appointed? Really, they are functioning for 90 days? That and all, we do not know. So that's again a very, very, dark area in this expert committee. That is one. Third is state government. State government, coming to the state government. Anyway, state government is also involved in this process, because without a state government involvement, you cannot run the project. Am I right? State government is, of course, if you see in this process and procedure, state government is not there, but state government will be involved. So when they appoint expert committee, everything state government will know it. So now State government does not have manpower for post-product monitoring. Lack of manpower for post-product monitoring. See, post-product monitoring, someone mitigation plan, when it is implemented, someone has to go and monitor. Right? Pollution Control Board, some officer has to go and monitor. So now they don't have manpower. Sometimes some inspector may go, he may get some money, he can come back, corruption can happen. So he may go and say that, okay, it has been, STP is installed, ETV is installed, but the company would have not installed at all. So that also can happen. So that is what, lack of manpower, rather than corruption anyway, it is going to be there, but let us not take the corruption issue, lack of manpower. That's another problem. So because of lack of manpower, this post-product monitoring is not at all happening effectively. That is what activist says. In many cases, it's not happening. So now, if the company is an ethical company, they will do it. If the consultant is an ethical consultant, ethical company, definitely, all the implementation, mitigation plan, whatever they promised, they will implement it. Normally, big companies and all will do it. Large companies like Tata company and all, generally they will do it. Some, good companies. But other than mid-sized companies and all, small companies and all, we do not know what they are doing. So again, that is a dark area we have. Okay, coming to the public hearing. So now, first thing, public lack of knowledge. No one knows about it. Just imagine whether you know about EAA. So probably you would have heard about EAA some few months back because of this. It would have come in the WhatsApp draft notification. It would have come in the WhatsApp and all. Am I right? So, but other than that, whether you know the complete process and procedure of EAA, no, you do not know it. Am I right? So even you are preparing for civil service, till now you do not know it. How come a rural person may know it? So he does not know it. He cannot understand anything on EA report or EMP plan. Nothing he can understand. So now definitely you can do anything. Most of the time, maximum what a local people will understand. Okay, if you say that the project is going to come, you are going to get displaced. Their concern will be where I'm going to get rehabilitated. So they are not going to concern about air pollution, water pollution. They cannot even understand. If you go and say that BOD level, DO level, what they can understand. Okay, if you say nitrogen dioxide level, sulfur dioxide level, they cannot understand. So now lack of knowledge is a thing, because it is not the case of a US. In US, how this EA concept has come as, actually people have protested. People protested. It's a people movement. People protested. People requested. Requested the fault with the government that before any project comes, assess the project, then only allow the project. Then only it came out as a law. It was not an initiative of a government. It is an initiative of the people in the United States, of course, in the European. But here, it's only initiative of a government. Okay, and that too, it is a notification. It's not an act. So lack of knowledge, that's another thing. And again, public hearing, it's complete eyewash. Just it's an eyewash, that's all. Okay, they don't report everything. They don't report anything. Okay, they talk only about the rehabilitation, how they are going to resettle and all. So they never tell what is the environmental cost and all. And here, sometimes NGO participation and all very poor. Research Institute NGO participation is poor. Even though NGO participate also, the initial and all, this impact assessment agency will not share the entire report. When NGOs asked for a report, the ministry used to say that this report cannot be shared. Then they went to the court and all. Then only, now they are giving the report. And that too, you get a report, you need to give a sufficient time. Okay. So again, you need to understand the report, all the technical data. So because they are doing a work for 3 months time. So this impact assessment agency, everyone is doing the work for 3 to 4 months time. So with 5 days, 10 days, they cannot understand. NGO Research Institute cannot understand. So now they need a lot of time. So that time and all is not given. So just like that, the public hearing goes as a mere, thing. And also no access to full report also, it is not there. And at the same time, rehabilitation also happens very poor. Even the delay in the compensation also happens. And finally, when the public hearing is not, is not accepting, despite of that, they start the project or they use force. They use force, lathi charge, sometimes firing. Am I right? So anything can happen. So this is what we have in this entire process and procedure. This is a problem right now we have with the EAA. So according to the environmental activist, they say that this EAA is not really conducted in good spirit. It is not at all really happening. Okay, because they are completely diluting the entire EAA, including the public hearing itself is diluted. Okay, so today NGOs also not much participating, unless otherwise there is any vested interest, lack of awareness in the people. So multiple factor, okay, seems together that, this is not happening at a right pace. Okay, so this is what. So all this issue I think in 2011 or something, it went to a Supreme Court. It went to the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court, after observing this entire process and procedure, Supreme Court said that, so what the Supreme Court said was, this entire EIA process and procedure seems to be superficial. This is what the recording of a Supreme Court. So what Supreme Court has said is, this entire process and procedure of EIA seems to be superficial and corrupt. Seems to be superficial and corrupt. And of course, there is no institutional memory. That is, the expert committee, they come for 3 months, they go off. Am I right? So now, there is no knowledge in the ministry at all. See, expert committee is a private man, he comes for 3 months and then he goes off. Again, another expert committee will come for 3 months, then go off. So where is the knowledge in the ministry? There is no institutional memory. So it is superficial, corrupt institutional memory, and also it lacks natural justice. So why Supreme Court says it lacks natural justice is because the ministry itself appoints the expert committee, ministry itself will give the recommendation, the expert committee is appointed by the ministry, so ministry itself conduct the thing and ministry itself giving approval. So everything is done by a single body. So it is also, because we do not know how the expert committee is appointed, how the recommendation is given, how the, because it seems that none of the project has been rejected. Okay, only in the extreme case, only after the people protest and all come only, they reject it. Or if it goes to tribunal, court and all, that time it's getting rejected. Other than that, it is not at all getting rejected. That means the ministry is giving more focus only for the priority. So that is what the Supreme Court said, that this entire activity seems to be, superficial, corrupt, institutional, memory is lacking, and this entire activity seems to lack natural justice. Okay, for that Supreme Court said that, so now you completely, revamp this EA process. So for this, you have to go for a new body called green regulator. Create an independent body, green regulator. Okay, so in that Supreme Court didn't tell how the green regulator and all has to be, but anyway, there should be an independent body, green regulator. Now the green regulator should be completely independent from ministry. They are the one who should control the EA consultants, and they have to conduct the EIA process and procedure, and they have to give the approval. Okay, and they have to be completely independent. So if it is independent, how it is? If it is independent means probably, there should be, members, there should be permanent members. So the permanent members should be appointed by high power panel. So their salaries and everything cannot be, remote. So there will have a permanent tenure, like 4 years or 5 years. Okay, so like that. So their money will be, the entire expenditure of green regulator should be taken by the, of course, it's like a constitutional body, statutory body, will be taken by the Consolidated Fund of India, so that they don't want to beg the, Ministry of Environment. Since they are completely independent, their tenure and all is not, the tenure and all is not affected. So they can, if it is 5 years now, they can be in the 5 years. No one can remove them from the 5 years. So in that time and all, what happens, you see, definitely they are not influenced by the corporate. I mean, at least they can be independent of the corporate. So then they can register all the EA consultant, they can control the EA consultant. Okay, and then finally they can conduct it, they can do approval. Anyway, expert committee has to be appointed, but in that, of course, the proposal one, some of the activists say that the proposal said that if you appoint expert committee, one member, permanent member, should be member of the expert committee. In every expert committee, one permanent member should be a member in the expert committee, so that the knowledge will be, institutional memory will be within the green regulator. So that is what it said. Like that, they brought architecture and all. So Supreme Court said that create architecture for green regulator. So I think some 6 months time, 3 months time, something they gave. Okay, implement the green regulator. That is what they said. Okay, but anyway, what our ministry did, they didn't do anything for 3 months time. Again, someone has put a PAL, public interest litigation, that okay, whatever Supreme Court has said it, the ministry has not done it. The ministry has not, has not created any green regulator. Again, the Supreme Court called the Ministry of Environment, and asked them, okay, what happened to the green regulator? They said that we didn't create green regulator. Okay, because the Supreme Court said that no, last 3 months back I told you to create a green regulator. So for that, the ministry said that no, you told that it is corrupt, superficial, That and all you told, it is an observation. So we thought that it is an observation of Supreme Court. Okay, creating a green regulator is an observation of Supreme Court. But Supreme Court said that it is not my observation, it is my order. Okay, I gave an order to implement. It is not my observation. Okay, everything is right. Just it's not an observation, it is an order to implement a green regulator. Okay, I'm giving another 3 months time, go and implement the green regulator. That is what told. Another 3 to 6 months has went on. The ministry didn't create a green regulator. Again, the Supreme Court called. Okay, why? What happened to the green regulator? The ministry said that, okay, there is no need for creating any green regulator because it is waste of time, waste of cost, waste of money and all. Okay, and again, bringing a green regulator will bring unnecessary expenditure to the government. So it is also not a right thing. Okay, so that is what we'll do is we will try to modify the existing system, the existing structure itself. We will do the modification. Okay, like EA. So now we have done EA consultant and all. We told that they have to get a certification from Quality Council of India. So right now we've revamped the expert committee, formation. So what we will do is we will restructure. We will, re-strengthen the existing system. There is no need for green regulator. We are not ready to implement a green regulator. That is what they put. So now it is hanging. Anyway, if a green regulator, but despite of that, government sources told that, some of the government sources said, even though if a green regulator is going to come, what green regulator is going to give is only recommendation. Okay, not approval. Approval only will be given by the minister, because minister, prime minister, we only will give approval. Okay, we will not allow the green regulator to give the approval. Project approval only will be given by the, approval will be given by the ministry, that is a minister. Only if there is a green regulator is going to be implemented, it is going to be only recommendation. That is what they told. So as of now, we don't have a green regulator. Government also does not have the mind to implement a green regulator. They said that we will go with the existing, EAA process itself. In that also, recently, last year, they brought a EAA draft notification. So what they have done in the draft notification. So we don't want to see all the draft notification. Some of the major 5 to 6 points, just we'll see. So what they have done is, the first one is, in the draft notification, some of the category A project, they have shifted to category B2, especially bulk medicine manufacturing. This bulk drug manufacturing companies and all, from category A, they shifted to category B2. So B2 means there is no need to, for any EA at all. This is what the environment activists are asking. So how can you, in the notification, how can you shift a very important company? Category A means it's a big company, very polluting company. All right. For that, definitely EA has to be conducted. So how the government can shift this company, category A project, to B2? Okay, the government has done for the drug company. Maybe because of the corona COVID issue, they would have done it. Maybe, I think maybe that may be the reason. Okay, the second is post facto clearance. The government said that we can go for post facto clearance for certain government projects. That means, so normally first to conduct a EAA and then only you need to start the project. But what under the post facto means, you start the project, parallelly conduct a EAA. So again, it is also against the natural justice. See, when you conduct a EAA, prepare a EMP plan, okay, EAA and EMP plan, then you start the project, implement the EMP plan, then it will be well within the ecosystem. It will be sustainable. If you start the project, after that, if you conduct what is the impact on the environment and all, there is no need, there is no use at all. So that is what, okay, even the court also observed that this is completely against natural justice. Okay, that means you're completely diluting the EA process. See, EA process is the one which has to be conducted and then only project has to be implemented. How can you start? How can you say the government projects can be started and then conduct? Because this EA process, it's for everyone, whether it's a government project or whether it's a private project, there is no difference. Everyone has to conduct a EA, everyone has to get a clearance. So that is what post facto clearance is also not an acceptable option. Okay, and some of the strategic projects and all, okay, they are completely exempted from EAA. Of course, B2, like B2, okay, strategic projects and all completely exempted. And some industries, some of the polluting industry, like chemical industries, certain industries, pesticide industry and all, public hearing is being excluded. They said that anyway, these are the project, most of the time protest happens in the public hearing. Now what the government has done is, so for this projects and all, public hearing should be excluded. That is what the government said in the draft notification. Okay, again for this also, the environmental activists and all protesting. Okay, these industries and all very important industry. Definitely public hearing has to be conducted. For this industry, they're excluding the public hearing, which is also not a right thing. Okay, and at the same time, okay, who can complain on violation? Suppose if any company is violating the norms or violating the, in the post-product monitoring, they come to know that there is a violation. They have not done as per the norms. Then who can go and give a complaint? Earlier, anyone can give a complaint. But now they said that the complaint can be, in the new draft notification, they said that the complaint can be only given by the people who are associated in that project. See, the people who are associated in the project, how he will complain? So the government said that it should be suo motu. That is, the people who are involved in the project, okay, they have to, go and complain. Who will go and complain? No one will complain it. So again, they say that it is also against the natural justice. And also public hearing, it was 30 days. From the 30 days, they reduced to 20 days in the draft notification. Okay, so by and large, it seems that, again, they are completely diluting it. So already, again, there is no need to talk about draft notification because already the system process procedure is not happening properly. Okay, along with this draft notification is also further diluting it. That is what environment activists are questioning. The present existing system process itself is not happening properly. In that way, this draft notification is further diluting everything so that environment is completely compromised for development. That is what they say. That is the reason a lot of protest happened for this EA notification. Okay. So by this time, you can understand, okay, how an EAA has to be conducted, how a EAA is conducted. So it is better. So what the proposal can be is, yes, all the category A project should be only in the category A. So public hearing definitely should be given importance. Okay, because at the same time, because public hearing is a one important component because it's a democracy. At the same time, bringing a green regulator can be a good move because green regulator definitely it can be independent so that it cannot be, it cannot be influenced by the corporate or government. So normally, at the same time, this EA consultant should be controlled. That is very important. Okay, so that is what. So now, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Yes, lack of institutional memory is something, see, because the expert committee comes for 3 months, they see the report and they go off. Okay, so knowledge is not in the ministry. That is what the Supreme Court says, that lack of institutional memory. See, any violation happens in the environment, who can give a complaint? So anyone should give a complaint, am I right? That is what. Now here they say that the complaint should be only given by the people who are associated in the project. How a people, associated in the project will give a complaint? So again, that is not possible at all. Who will give a suo motu? See, you are a project. See, you are a EA consultant. Assume that. Okay, you are running a project. Now there is some violation. Whether you will go and give a complaint on yourself, that you will never do it. Am I right? Okay, so someone can be a whistleblower. So within the company, someone can be a whistleblower. They can do it. But how many of them will be coming out and giving it? Right? That and all is not at all possible. See, green regulator, we do not know what it is. It is only what I told is a proposal. It could be like that. Any green regulator permanent, it could be like that. So as of now, we do not know how a green regulator. They say that the ministry has an architecture, how a green regulator to be, but we are not very sure about it. Unless otherwise it comes out only, we'll come to know. Anything draft notification means it's an amendment. Public hearing is exempted for polluting industry like chemical industry, dye industry, some of the plastic industry, pesticide industry. For everything, they have exempted this public hearing. Public hearing from 30 days in the new notification, they said that it has to be brought to 20 days. Yes. You can, in a mains exam, if they ask you, you need to give a, pro-environment answer. So you need to strengthen the public hearing. So in the public hearing, complete transparency should be there. So you should, anyway, public cannot understand. You should involve NGOs, research institutes. All the data should be shared with them. Okay. So you should also get the, recommendation from this expert committee, recommendation from the NGOs, research institute, and then add it in the, report. That and all you can write it. See, we do not know what happened to this EA draft notification. Really, we do not know. After that, there is no news at all. So they gave it. They would have, see, it's only notification. Okay. So see, as a thing, I think they have not approved it. But even though, see, the very important thing is many people are debating on draft notification that time. But in reality, the basic procedure itself is not happening. Okay. What is there in the draft notification? If they want to dilute anything, they can see it is just like that. It is diluted. So if a draft notification comes or not, does not come, what is there? Okay, so okay, fine. Let me say that public hearing for polluting industry. So they, in the new draft notification, they say that public hearing is exempted from polluting industry. Now let me say that you conduct a public hearing. Whether they are going to conduct properly, no. Anyway, they are going to dilute it. So if this is going to happen or not, of course. Again, see, unless otherwise the existing structure system is not changed, there is no meaning of talking about this draft notification. You can give recommendation. Recommendation, you can give all positive recommendation. Criticism, you can give a positive criticism. Okay. And also recommendation, you need to give a practical recommendation. Expert committee report binding to the minister. No. See, that is what actually you need to understand. See, expert committee is the one who cross-checks us. Suppose assume that if you say the expert committee report is binding on the minister, he is not a constitutional authority. Am I right? He's not first, he is not a constitutional authority. Second is, if you take a minister is appointed by the people. All right, it is a democracy. All right, the majority they come. It's a people appointed. So now we go and vote a particular person. I'm right. When we vote a person, see, we all individual citizen go and vote a person. So when you vote a person, what do you mean? That is, you are surrendering the power to the minister. Am I right? That is what. See, when you go and vote to a particular party, to a particular person, okay, particular nominee or someone, and when you pay a tax, that means you say that I'm the process of voting itself will mean that I'm nominating you, I'm surrendering my power to you. Okay, on behalf of me, you take action. That is the reason Prime Minister, Minister, Chief Minister, and all sitting here. Am I right? A Chief Minister is sitting here. A Chief Minister today, now you can see Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Stalin is sitting here. So that is what people elected him. So majority of the people elected him. Majority is very important. Majority of the people elected him. Now the people have surrendered the power to him. So now on behalf of the people, he has the right to take the decision. That is what. Okay, if he's not taking a right decision, then people have to decide in the next election. So now the power should be in the minister. So that we cannot question it. Am I right? You cannot make the expert committee to binding and all. Say approval of any project should be given by a political authority. Then what is the purpose of he sitting here? Am I right? Then there is no use of minister, no. So then why we need to elect a person? Okay, expert committee is an officer. See, officer, probably officer, IAS officer or something. No, they cannot take a decision. Am I right? They can execute it. Okay, they can go by the law, they can advise the minister, that and all can be done. But decision should be taken only by the political authority. Then why we need to pay the tax? Why we need to, why we need to vote a person? Then there is no meaning of voting a person at all. If someone comes and takes a decision, because he's a elected person, he's a appointee. Am I right? Expert committee is appointee. Anyway, a minister will work under the advice of officers only. Am I right? Ultimately, the officer is going to advise him. But for the namesake, it's only the minister has to, sign, has to give the approval under the recommendation of the officer. Okay, see, now it's not like that. See, if you take a union ministers and all today, it's not like that. See, that and all the days has gone. So today every minister knows it. So that does not mean, it does not mean that the minister does not know anything on EA and all. They know it. If you take some ministers of central ministers and all, they are all educated only. So not every minister is uneducated. Okay. Okay, fine. So that is about it. So any other related doubts so that we can take a small break and then we can go to the next topic. See, current affairs session, we will have it separate. Not, it will not be conducted tomorrow and all, because anyway your exam is going to be October. I'm right. So now if I take current affairs session, it's no use. So let us push the current affairs by July, August or something. That will be better. Because we do not know. No. See, because earlier the exam is fixed on June 28th. Probably they would have taken a question paper. Now we do not know whether the same question paper is going to come in the September month, October month. Probably they may change the question also. So if they change the question, probably the current affair, they may go up to July, August also. So it is better to see in August. That will be better. August to September. That is the right time to see the current affair. So that we can cover from last June to September. So I'm not going to take current affair now. Okay. So shall we take a small break? So we'll take a small break and then we will get into our next topic, climate change. Okay, shall we start? So now we will move on to the last topic, climate change. So in this, we will try to understand the science basis of climate change. First, we will understand some basic concepts, terms in the climate change. What is climate? What is global warming? So what is greenhouse effect? Some terms and all we'll see. And then we will see the science basis of climate change. We will see the effects of climate change, impact of climate change, and how to mitigate the climate change. And then the second part, once we understand the fundamentals of climate change, we need to see how climate change is tackled. So how Indian government tackles climate change through various programs. We will discuss the, we will see a summary of various programs. And then the second part is how international level, the climate change is controlled. Because if India controls climate change, if China didn't do it, then there's no use at all. So everyone has to, take a common responsibility and control it. So that is what the second part will be, international. So in that we will discuss about UNEP, so how the UNEP started, and finally more focus will be on UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So 25 years has gone. So 25 conference of party is over, more than. So we will try to see we cannot see each and every conference of party. It will be very boring. So major milestone. So how Kyoto Protocol has come, Kyoto Protocol 1, Kyoto Protocol 2, what is the debate happened, what is the success of Kyoto Protocol, then what is the recent Paris Agreement. So what is the target we have taken in the Paris Agreement? Till that, we will try to see it. Along with this, in between that, we will also try to cover what is that ozone depletion. That also we will try to cover it. Okay. So now, when we come to the climate change, first certain terms and all we need to see. So first, what is climate? What is weather? What is weather versus climate? Weather is something temporary. Right now, what is the weather outside? So can you tell? That's what it's a temporary. So it can, weather is a one which can change from day to day. But when I talk about a climate, it is about average weather for a long period. Okay, like say 25 years or 30 years. So if you take average weather for 30 years, then we can call it as a climate. This average weather, if it changes, we call it as a climate change. Okay, so when average weather changes for a long period, it's called climate change. Okay, do you know how much the temperature has changed? How much the climate has changed? How much degree has changed? That is what the indicator is from the pre-industrial time. Because industrialization, was responsible for many greenhouse gases. From the pre-industrial time till now, approximately 1 degree Celsius has increased. Please keep in mind 1 degree. Okay, so not 2 degree and all has not increased, 1 degree. In some book they may say 1.5, some book they may say, in some sources they may say 0.8, but let us take 1 degree. Till now 1 degree Celsius has increased. Keep that in mind. Okay, so 1 degree you should not underestimate, because our earth was pushed into a little ice age because of just a fall of 1 degree. Just a fall of 1 degree, our earth was pushed to a little ice age. So that's the reason 1 degree is a concern. Right now, whatever we find, the environmental changes, the flood, now recently they're talking about Bay of Bengal cyclones. So everything is only because of this 1 degree. Okay, now what is the target we have kept? Global target. That is in the UNFCCC. The UNFCCC, the global target what we have kept is we should take action. All the countries should take action that we should limit the temperature to 2 degree. Okay, from 1 degree, it can go up to 2 degree. It should not go more than 2 degree. Okay, if possible, 1.5. We will see this. Impossible, 1.5. Okay, but as a target, we have kept, 2 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now, what is this global warming? They are using the word climate change. They are using the word global warming. Whether both are same, because in the news article, they will say UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So here and there, they will use the word climate change, but in between that, they will use the word global warming. Okay, so whether there is any difference, whether both are same, whether both are different. See, when I say global warming, it is a surface temperature increase due to anthropogenic reason, human activity. Okay, surface temperature increase due to anthropogenic activity, that is human activity. So because of human activity, the surface temperature is increasing. That is something called global warming. Okay, what is the connection between climate change and global warming? Yes, global warming is one of the reasons for climate change. See, climate change can happen by many reasons. Climate change can happen by many reasons. There are many natural reasons for climate change. We will discuss it. There are many natural reasons for climate change. There are some 6 to 7 causes for climate change. In that, one cause is global warming. And right now, all the scientists, climate change experts, scientists believe that the present climate change is happening only because of human activity, global warming. Okay, we say that climate change right now is happening because of global warming. That is the reason this climate change and global warming, they are using the term interchangeably. So anywhere if you come across a word climate change, they are mentioning about global warming. They mean that it is a global warming, surface temperature increase due to anthropogenic activity. Okay. So if you come across a climate change, means it is nothing but a global warming. They are talking about global warming, even though climate change has many reasons. Okay. Now, in this, why a surface temperature has to increase? Due to anthropogenic activity means what? So what that human activity increases the surface temperature? What that human activity increases the surface temperature? Yes, the various human activity is emitting, greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases. The various human activity, nothing but burning of fossil fuel. Okay, many activity is emitting this greenhouse gases. Okay, what are those greenhouse gases? We have 40 plus greenhouse gases. Okay, carbon dioxide, we will discuss that later. Carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, CFC, PFC, am I right? Ozone. So everything is a greenhouse gases. Okay, what is a greenhouse gas? Why there is a term? They could have told about gas. Why they are specifically using a word greenhouse gas? So normally what happened, you see, especially in the mountain, in Europe and all, very long back, on the top of the mountain, especially in the winter time, the temperature will become freezing temperature. So if there is a freezing temperature on the top of the mountain, definitely horticulture cannot be there. Plant cannot grow. For that, they will construct a glass house. Probably in the movies also you would have seen, in the hill station and all, they will have a glass house. Inside the glass house, they will have all the horticulture, plant and all. So now the purpose is when the sunlight comes in the morning time, the heat and light will enter into the glass house, where the heat will get alone trapped in the glass house. The glass house will trap the heat. Okay, and night time, definitely the heat will be present inside the glass house. So that is what night time, outside it may be a freezing temperature. Inside, if you enter the glass house, it will be warm. So since it is warm, temperature is very important for the plant growth, so that plant will be evergreen. So they thought that from that time onwards, they started calling this house as a greenhouse, because since the temperature is warm, the plant grows, the plant is green. So that is the reason they call it as a greenhouse. Okay, now how this name has come to the gases? So the same logic, if you take our earth, so you know that atmosphere, troposphere, the earth average temperature should have been minus 18 degrees Celsius. This is how the earth temperature. The earth temperature should have been minus 18 degrees Celsius. But this minus 18 degree has come to plus 18 degrees Celsius. How? It is only because of the presence of greenhouse gases. In that, carbon dioxide played a very important role. Now, what happens, you see, you know that sun. The sun gives a shortwave radiation. You know that the shortwave radiation cannot heat your air. So when it hits the land, from the land, what comes out is a long wave radiation. Now, this greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone, water vapor, Now what it will do is, what it is doing is, it is trapping the heat. It is trapping the heat and keep it in the lower atmosphere. So that is the reason we are experiencing this average temperature plus 18 degree. If this greenhouse gases is not present, water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, ozone and all, then definitely our Earth would have been minus 18. There will not be any life at all. Okay, so it is going to be like tundra or something, tundra and above polar desert. So the life, such a rich life of tropical rainforest to the different temperate deciduous, taiga. So it's only possible because of this greenhouse gases. So from that time onwards, they started calling this concept. So the same concept is applicable here. So they started calling this gases as a greenhouse gases because it traps the heat and keeps it. So now when more greenhouse gases are there, definitely more warming is happening. That is what, climate change. The climate is increasing because the human activity is emitting lot of greenhouse gases by burning the fossil fuel and various activity. So more the greenhouse gases, more the heat is trapping. So that's the reason 1 degree Celsius has increased. Like that experts are saying. Okay, so that is how the greenhouse gas concept of greenhouse have this effect, trapping effect is called greenhouse effect. Since it's trapping the heat, we call this effect as a greenhouse effect. Okay, the next is, what is radiative forcing? RF, also called as climate forcing. Radiative forcing. See, long wave radiation, short wave radiation, I think they would have told you in the geography, very first class itself. See, if you take a earth, sun cannot directly heat your air, right? Because it's a long wave radiation. When it touches the land, from the land, the radiation emit is a, long wave radiation. That is what it can be trapped by the air. That is nothing but the greenhouse gases, either water vapor or any greenhouse gases. Okay. Okay, what is radiative forcing is, see, if you take a sun, sorry, if you take a earth, let us take sun. The amount of incoming solar energy, you know that once it's getting reflected, the outgoing. So I will say this is incoming, this is outgoing. The difference between the incoming radiation versus the outgoing radiation is called planet radiative forcing. The difference between the incoming solar radiation and the outgoing solar radiation is called planet radiative forcing. Just make note. What is planet radiative forcing or climate forcing is the difference between the incoming solar radiation and the outgoing radiation is called planet radiative forcing. Okay, now condition 1 is, if the incoming radiation is more than the outgoing radiation, then we call it as positive radiative forcing. Just make note. If the incoming radiation is more than the outgoing radiation, if the incoming radiation is more than the outgoing radiation, we call it as a positive radiative forcing. What is that? Incoming radiation is outgoing than the outgoing. Very simple. Just example I'm telling you. Let me say that 100 joules of energy is entering into the earth. So according to the heat budget, the same amount has to go out, right? Some or other way. Now 100 joules is coming. Let me say that only 80 joules is going out. That is what the incoming radiation is higher than the outgoing radiation. Then it's called positive radiative forcing. Now, what will happen in this condition? Whether the earth will get warm or whether the earth will cool. The earth will warm. The incoming radiation is more than the outgoing radiation. The earth will warm. Okay. Now, actually, what it actually is doing. So 100 units is coming inside, but 80 units is going outside. Means 20 units. What is about 20 joules is what is happening? It is trapped. Am I right? That means there are more greenhouse gases that is trapping the 20 joules. That's the reason outgoing is very less. So obviously the warming effect will happen. The planet will warm. Okay. So you can add to it. The incoming radiation is greater than the outgoing radiation. Then it is called radiative forcing. Bracket, planet will warm. This is due to presence of more greenhouse gases. This is due to presence of more greenhouse gases. Okay, now you take the opposite. Suppose the incoming is less than the outgoing. The incoming is less than the outgoing. If the incoming radiation is less than the outgoing radiation, that is called negative radiative forcing. Earth will cool. If the incoming radiation is lesser than the outgoing radiation, the earth will cool. Okay, so what is it? How it can be the incoming can be lesser than the outgoing? How it is possible? The incoming is lesser than the outgoing. How it is possible? It is possible. Suppose if you have a cloud. If you have a cloud, there is a possibility that the incoming will be controlled, whereas the outgoing will be reduced. Sorry, outgoing will be increased. So now, if you take a Chennai, I do not know how many are from Chennai. I think some are from Bangalore and some from Delhi. Chennai, what is the summer temperature? Average summer peak temperature. What's the average summer peak temperature and winter peak temperature of Chennai? So let me say average is 35, 37 or 38. 45 when it has gone. 45 is very rare. 37, 38. Okay, 38 something. Winter temperature, probably at peak winter temperature, it can go to 20. Right? Night time it can go up to 20 or something. But you know that 100 years back, Chennai temperature has come to 11 degree. 11 to 13 degrees Celsius. Very, very cold. Once upon a time, some 100 years back, Chennai temperature was 11 degree. Very cold temperature. So which you cannot imagine near the ocean how it is possible to have 11 degree, because that too in the winter time. So because winter time is the one where the ocean will start emitting all the heat. Right. So the specific heat latent capacity because of it. But the Chennai is expensive because the reason is in Indonesia there was one big volcano. That volcano has produced a lot of fumes. That fumes has come on top of the Indian peninsula, which has covered like a cloud, volcanic cloud, and it has reflected most of the sun's heat, so that the cooling effect has come to 11 degree to 13 degree. Okay, this is what actually happened. So during the heavy volcanic activity, because normally in a volcano, that heat will come out, carbon dioxide will come out, heating will happen. There's no doubt in it. But when there is a heavy volcano, the volcano will create a fumes. That fumes will go to the top of the atmosphere and it will form like a cloud, which will prevent your sun. So that time negative radiative forcing will happen. Earth will cool. Okay, so especially in the heavy volcanic activity. Okay, that is what we call it as a radiative forcing. Okay, it is called radiative forcing. Radiative forcing, or it is also called as climate forcing. Radiative forcing or climate forcing. Okay, now first we will see causes of climate change. Okay, I said climate change can be by many causes. Climate change can be many causes. So here we can broadly divide. Climate can change by natural, by human. Right? Anthropogenic, but also natural. Natural is also one of the reasons. See, once upon a time we had an ice age. Who is responsible for ice age? Definitely it is a nature, right? From the ice age, it has come to warm age. Whether human is responsible? No. Now from the warm age, it is becoming much more warmer. That is human is responsible. You may say it. But again, there are many natural causes for climate change. There is also human activity in the climate change. So now let's try to understand some of the causes of climate change. Now, whatever I'm going to give you, of course, for exam point of view, it is not much needed. Definitely UPSC will not get into this level. And it's not in the essay book, just only for your understanding. Now, when you come to the causes of climate change, they say that it is because of forcing mechanism. It is because of forcing mechanism. It is because of forcing mechanism. So there are two forcing mechanism: internal forcing mechanism, external forcing mechanism. Internal forcing mechanism, external forcing mechanism. Okay, under the internal forcing mechanism, the first one is ocean atmospheric variability. Okay, see, for this, we don't have a very clear proof. So everything is a hypothesis. Ocean atmospheric variability. So they say that this ice age got over by some around 13,000 years back. This ocean depth, it is still adjusting to the effect of ice age. So ocean depth has not completely recovered from the ice age. The ocean depth is still, it is no adjusting to the effect of ice age. And because of the thermohaline circulation, heat distribution is happening. Very simple. To put it very simple, that the ocean is taking the sun's heat. Slowly, it is taking the sun's heat. After a period of time, there may be a saturation point, and then the ocean will start emitting the heat. Now here, the thermohaline circulation, probably the oceanography, is very important in the redistribution of heat. Okay, it is carrying the heat very slowly, deep water, and then it is distributing across the heat. Now, because of this, right now, the ocean is emitting a lot of heat, which is responsible for the surface temperature increase. This is what one hypothesis. So the ocean, which is taking a lot of heat, to put it simple, the ocean, which is taking a lot of heat, so the heat is redistributed because the heat will travel up to the ocean depth. Okay, still the ocean depth itself already is not, it's not adjusted to the little ice age. So it is getting distributed, and then all the heat after some point of time, it is getting emitted. Now it is a time, this is a period in this 100 years, this ocean is emitting, redistributing the heat, it's emitting a lot of heat. That is the reason El Nino effect and all happens. So that what happens, you see, more heat is entering, which is responsible for surface temperature increase. That is one reason some scientists say. The another reason is life forms. Today we have various life. So we have plant. Plant, what it does, it is doing evapotranspiration. Am I right? So in this, definitely moisture comes out, water vapor. Water vapor is a greenhouse gas, which will trap the heat. Am I right? The second is you have water cycle. Even in the water cycle, redistribution of cycle also, you get a lot of moisture. Now, of late, that is in the last few years of time, because of heavy transpiration, evapotranspiration in water cycle, lot of moisture is coming out. Now moisture is trapping the heat. That is also another reason for, natural reason for surface temperature increase. That is what they say. There's two factors. Some scientists say that this is a natural reason for surface temperature increase. Okay, when come to the external forcing mechanism, the first one is orbital variation. Orbital variation. Okay, so here under the orbital variation, there is one cycle. Just if you know what is that, it's more than sufficient. Milankovitch cycle. Milankovitch cycle. Milankovitch cycle. Okay, what is that cycle is? See, we have a sun, the earth. Of course, it may be in an elliptical orbit. Earth, and also, the earth is in the tilt. Now, the first question is whether this elliptical orbit is maintained throughout the various period. See, there are many. So when the earth was formed, 4 billion years. So in this, all the 4 billion years, do you think that the earth is following the elliptical orbit, or the earth is having this 23.5 degree? No, not at all. The change is happening. That is, under the Milankovitch cycle, it says that for every 95,000 years once, there is a change. For every 45,000 years once, there is a change. Then for every 21,000 years, there is another change. They say that for every 95,000 year once, this elliptical orbit may change to a circular orbit. The elliptical orbit will come to a circular orbit. Because of that also, the earth may come close to the sun. See, again, the earth is coming close to the sun, the earth is away from the sun. The earth is going away from the sun, probably it will induce your ice age. If the earth is coming close to the sun, probably it will induce your warm age. So for every 95,000 years, the elliptical orbit will change to a circular orbit. For every 45,000 year once, this tilt, 23.5 degree tilt, may change to 21 degree or 24 degree. Even then also that can change approximately. Because of it also, the heat distribution will change. So probably from 23, if it comes to 21, you cannot find Arctic at all. The Arctic will become like a, taiga. All right. So that changes will happen. Heat distribution will change. Okay. For every 21,000 years once, of course, the earth will wobble. The earth will wobble. So because of that also, what happens? You see, the North Pole will come to South Pole, the South Pole will come to North Pole. So like that, they say that the thing is, there can be the relationship between sun and the earth will change. Either the sun may come near to the earth, the sun may go away from the, the earth may go away from the sun. Because of that, heating can come, cooling can come. When the earth is going very away from the sun, probably the cooling effect can come. Because of the reason, ice age can get induced. If the earth comes near the sun, probably in the orbital position or in the tilt or in the wobbling or something, there's a chances that, more cooling, more heating can happen. So this is what we call Milankovitch cycle. And today, by and large, everyone, the scientific community has accepted that the Milankovitch cycle only induced this, driven this entire ice age. So that is a theory. It's only theory. So how do you know 95,000 years, 45,000 years it happens? So it's a theory. So it has been proved that, if it's not proved, I will not say, it has been hypothesized that Milankovitch cycle is a responsible factor for climate change. It is a natural reason for climate change. Okay, then in the external forcing mechanism, the next one is solar output. Solar output. If you take a sun, if you take a earth, you know that from the sun, there is a lot of solar wind comes out, which is called coronary mass ejection. Lot of winds comes out, which is called coronary mass ejection. Solar wind. Anyway, when more solar wind enters, the possibility more heat can enter into the earth. By that way, warming can happen. Sometimes sun will be very silent. Even after 1970s, sun has become, before 1970s, sun was very ferocious. So more solar wind has entered. Okay, more heat has entered. But after 1970s, sun has become very silent. So after that, the amount of coronary mass ejection was very less. So that time, the cooling effect can, of course, the heating effect can reduce. So that is what, this is also a natural reason for climate change. Okay. Then comes the next one in the external forcing mechanism, volcano. Anyway, when you have a volcano, when you have a normal small volcanoes and all, the volcano will emit a lot of heat, and also the volcano will emit a lot of greenhouse gases like methane, nitrous oxide, some carbon dioxide and all, which is also responsible for a climate change. But anyway, volcano, when a heavy volcano comes, it will form a fume. Definitely, it will give you negative radiative forcing. Okay, cooling effect can also happen. And the last one is human activity. So our burning of fossil fuel, our various agriculture activity, okay, various industrial activity is emitting a lot of greenhouse gases, which is also trapping the sun's heat. So now, if you take the forcing mechanism, the internal forcing mechanism, external forcing mechanism. So we have the ocean variability, ocean atmospheric variability. So we have the second one, life forms. So in this we have orbital variation, Milankovitch cycle, then solar output, which is another factor, volcano, it's another factor, and then human activity. Now these and all natural reason. So if you take a climate change, so today I say that from the pre-industrial time, 1 degree Celsius has increased. Now this 1 degree Celsius is because of only human activity or because of natural or both. It's only because of human activity or whether because of natural or because of both. Okay, you say both. Natural activity. Yes, we want to find it. So that is the reason in 1989, they created an organization called IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They created an organization called IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. So this organization was created by WMO, World Meteorological Organization, and UNEP. Now, really, we want to scientifically assess it. We want to scientifically, technically, we want to assess it. We want to know the present climate change is because of what? What is the reason for present climate change? Okay. So if it is a climate, if it is a natural, you cannot do anything. Okay. If it is a human activity, yes, we can do something on it. So first thing, we want to know what is the reason, whether it is a natural, whether it's a human, or whether it's a both combined effect. The second one is we should also understand the impact. Anyway, it is happening, whether it's a natural or whether it is a anthropogenic, it does not matter. We should understand the impact of the climate change. Okay, what all the impact is going to happen on the land, water, air. So everything we should know on flora, fauna. I'm right. So on the region level, the ocean, sea level, okay, sea level rise, everything we need to know. Okay, the third one, we should also know how to adapt to it. Adaptation and mitigation. See, adaptation is something adjusting. Mitigation is something reducing the effect. For example, if you take island country, small island country, because of climate change, sea level rise, it is going to get completely submerged. Now, what they can do, you cannot stop this. Okay, you need to shift the place. That is something called adaptation. Mitigation means, okay, now there are more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So go for plant, okay, go for some other process, go for afforestation, create more plant so that it can capture carbon dioxide. That is something called mitigation. So for this, they will try to understand. So now we need to know, not for the entire earth, we need to know regional level. Okay, in America, what is going to happen because of climate change? In Africa, what is going to happen? In Asia, what is going to happen? In Indian subcontinent, what is going to happen? And also we should know specifically within India how this is going to happen. So country wise we should know, regional wise we should know, global wise we should know. Okay, and at the same time, for adaptation mitigation, we should also know what type of technology we need. Okay, how much money we need. So everything we need to assess it. So for that only they brought this IPCC. Now, this IPCC will not do any research. Please keep in mind, they will not do any research. That is, across the world, they will bring all the experts from various countries. They will bring all the experts. They will take the research report of all the research institutes from research organization, from Harvard, Oxford, Indian universities, from everywhere, African universities, African research institutes, from everywhere. They will compile all the research reports. They will bring all the scientists. Okay, they will bring the topmost experts from the world, climate change expert, biodiversity expert, everything. They will all sit together with all the report. They will prepare a consolidated report. With that data and all, they will interpret, they will see the evidences. Finally, they will narrow down and come to a report. That is something called IPCC report. So in order to do this activity, so they will not do the research. They will only compile the research reports of various government, various country. Okay. At the same time, they will also, bring the various, experts from the world. So it's there may be more than 500, 600,000 experts will be there. So here, in order to do this activity, they will have a working group. They will have working group 1, working group 2, working group 3. This working group 1 will talk about the physical science basis of climate change. Physical science basis of climate change. That is why this climate change is happening. Okay, what is the causes? What is the natural cause? What is the evidences for the natural cause? What is the human activity? What is the evidence of human activity? Whether it's a combined. So that and all the science basis of climate change, they will work. This group of scientists will work with the research reports. The working group 2 will discuss about impact. What is the impact of the climate change? What is the adaptation we need to do? And what is the vulnerability we have? Impact, adaptation, and vulnerability. They will work on the impact, adaptation, vulnerability. Working group 3 will try to work on the mitigation. Then they will tell how to mitigate this climate change. Okay, in order to adapt and mitigate, how much fund is needed, how much technology is needed, what are the technologies needed, this technologies and all, where it is available. So most of the time technology is available in the rich country. So how the technology transfer has to be done. So that and all, they have to do it. Okay, that will say. And also they will predict how much the temperature will go. So everything they will do. Okay, so with the research reports. Finally, they will prepare a synthesis report. So with this 3 report, they will prepare a synthesis report that is called assessment report, AR. It is called as assessment report, AR. So till now, so normally till now, how many reports they have released? They have released AR 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the latest report is AR 5, which was released in 2014. So for one report to another report, they will take some 5 to 6 years time. Sometimes 7, 8 years also they will take it. The next report AR6 may come by 2022. That is what they'll do. In between that, they will also release special report. If needed, they will release a special report. So recently they released a special report called Special Report on 1.5 degrees Celsius. So like that intermediate report also they release. But this report is very important. AR report. So AR report will tell clearly. Okay, now what that AR report says. From the AR report 2 onwards, they said that the evidences clearly shows that the present climate change, 1 degree Celsius, is not because of natural reason. It is only because of anthropogenic activity. So the evidences has proven it. They have brought a list of evidences. So they have also brought out what all the impact is going to happen on the sea level, health, agriculture, forest, everything. They have also given. Okay, in that reports and all, they told very clearly CO2 is a major driver. CO2 is a major driver, and the earth is undergoing positive RF. The earth is undergoing positive RF, positive radiative forcing. Okay, and also they give scenario. Scenario means how much the temperature will increase. They say that in the end of 21st century, the temperature will go to 2 degrees. Then further, it will, if you don't take any action, it will go to 3 degrees. Like that, they will give a lot of scenarios. And also they told that in order to tackle the climate change, every year, you need to spend $500 billion in order to adapt and mitigate the climate change. Okay, that is what IPCC comes. They come with a report called ER report, ER5. That's the latest report. Okay, along with the working group report. Most of the time in the UNFCCC conference, they will only use this report. And also they will send a report specific to country. We have an India IPCC report. Okay, so within India, what is going to happen because of climate change? That also they will release it. Okay, so that's how they do a very important activity, but they don't do any research on their own. They will only take the research reports of various countries, compile it. Most of the time that will have a very authentic, because they will take all the evidences, everything. Okay, because if you are taking only one country report, there's no use. So take from Harvard, take from Oxford, take from various research institute. Okay, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. So definitely you will get a worthful of data. So definitely it can tell you what is the real impact. Okay, that is what the job of IPCC. So clearly they said that greenhouse gases are responsible, in that carbon dioxide is a major driver. Greenhouse gases are responsible, in that carbon dioxide is a major driver. Okay, so now if the greenhouse gases, what are those greenhouse gases? So IPCC has reported many greenhouse gases. So I think they have identified more than 30 plus greenhouse gases they have identified. But anyway, out of that, some of the major greenhouse gases. So right now what we have, of course, which is creating a problem is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, N2O, then water vapor. This is the single largest greenhouse gas, which is a natural plus some human induced. Water vapor, then ozone, O3, okay, then comes CFC, PFC, perfluorocarbon, CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. So normally these are all called as fluorinated gases. Perfluorocarbon, chlorofluorocarbon, perfluorocarbon, SF6, sulfur hexafluoride, sulfur hexafluoride, HFC, hydrofluorocarbon, 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 NF3, nitrogen trifluoride. So we have many more gases. Okay, we have perfluoromethane, perfluoroethane, propane, butane, perfluorocyclobutane. So we have many gases. We have 40 plus gases. But the single largest gas is water vapor. But this is what a major driver. Okay, now where these gases are coming out? Where are the sources? So tell me how carbon dioxide comes out? Nothing but burning. Mostly burning of fossil fuel is a major emission of carbon dioxide. Comes from the automobile. Okay, comes from the coal power plant. All right, any burning, even stubble burning, everything is a carbon dioxide emission. Okay, methane. How methane comes out? The major source of methane is livestock, cattle. So cattle is a major methane emitter. I think cattle emits 100 kg of methane per day. So today we have more livestock that was responsible for methane emission. And of course, wetland, the natural methane emitter, because of anaerobic. Anywhere anaerobic respiration happens, there and all. Polluted lake also will emit methane because of eutrophication. The anaerobic respiration happens, methane emission will happen. Okay, and then anyway, burning. Even in the burning process, methane will come out. Okay, methane we are not putting under the pollutant category. We are putting under the climate change pollutant. It is not coming under a total air pollutant, but it's also pollution. Okay, burning of fossil fuel, that and all. Even in the volcanic activity and all, this comes out. Nitrous oxide. The major source of nitrous oxide is fertilizer. Because when you use excess fertilizer, when a bacteria react on the fertilizer, that time nitrous oxide comes out. Okay, that time nitrous oxide comes out. Okay, that is one. The second is even burning. So I already told you, in any burning, so we will get oxides of nitrogen. We will get nitric oxide, we will get nitrogen dioxide, we will get nitrous oxide. Okay, water vapor is a very natural source. Ozone, how it comes out? So I already told you in air pollution, when ground level ozone. Normally, when any nitrogen dioxide is broken by the sun in the pollution, so that time NO2 is broken, NO plus O, that O will go and join with O2, that time O3 is formed. CFC, PFC, this and all is used in industries, refrigerant industry, foam industry, computer cleaning parts. All right, fluorinated gases is used in the various industries, pressure pumps and pressure industries and everything where it is used. Okay, that is how the gases. So now we have more than 40 gases. Now here I've given some around 78 gases. Okay, now do you think that all the gas trap the same amount of heat? For example, if I say 1 unit of carbon dioxide traps 1 unit of heat, do you think the same 1 unit of methane will also trap 1 unit of heat? No. See, some gases will trap more heat, some gases will trap less heat. All right, it will vary according to its nature. That is what its potential will change. So for this, first we need to understand what is this global warming potential, GWP, global warming potential. In fact, it is calculated by the IPCC. So IPCC releases a chart also. the global warming potential chart. So in that, they will tell each and every gas how much amount of heat it will trap. Global warming potential. Okay, if you take a global warming potential chart, so this chart will tell every gas how much it traps. But for this, we try to compare only with carbon dioxide. We take reference as a carbon dioxide, and then only with the comparing with the carbon dioxide only, we will compare. We will say how much. For example, I will show the chart, you will understand. So normally first, what is the gas? Then its equation and all, then it will lifetime. So what is the gas? What is its lifetime? Then they will see the global warming potential. Normally the global warming potential will be calculated for 3 timeline. Global warming potential for time horizon. That is for 20 years, 100 years, 500 years. So they will calculate like this. So that is if we take a carbon dioxide, probably life is variable. So since we take carbon dioxide as a reference, so we consider carbon dioxide as 111. Now let's take methane. 500 years, 100 years, 20 years, 500 years. Let us take methane. Methane, the life of a methane is 12 plus or minus 3 years, probably 15 years, less than 15 years. Now, the concept is in the first 20 years, if you assume it is going to be for 20 years, in the first 20 years, it will trap 56 times more heat than the 56 times more heat than the carbon dioxide. 56 times more heat than the carbon dioxide. If it is going to be for 100 years, it is going to trap 21 times more heat than the carbon dioxide. If it is going to be for 500 years, probably it is 6.5 times. Okay, let us take nitrous oxide. Just for example, if you emit a nitrous oxide, it will be in the atmosphere for 120 years. Life in years. In the first 20 years, the nitrous oxide will trap 120 times more heat than the carbon dioxide. In the next 100 years, the nitrous oxide would have trapped 280 times more heat than the carbon dioxide. In the 500 years, probably 310 times. Okay, sorry, 170 times. 310, 310, 280, a small mistake. In the first 20 years, it is 280 times. In the 100 years, 310 times. In the 500 years, it may be 170 times. So if you take some gas like sulfur hexafluoride, for example, if you emit a sulfur hexafluoride, it will be there in the atmosphere for 3,200 years. In the first 100 years, it will trap approximately 16,300 times more heat than the carbon dioxide. In the next 100 years, it will trap 23,900 times more than the carbon dioxide. In the 500 years of time, it will trap like this. See, potential is very high. So that is what we call it as global warming potential. CO2 is variable. So for water vapor, we cannot calculate GWP. Normally, GWP is not calculated for water vapor because the reason is water vapor is a function of temperature. It will vary. So that's the reason calculation will not work out. But for all other gases, there will be a GWP. So hereafter, when you come across any gas, you need to first understand what is the life of a gas. Second is you need to understand what is the global warming potential of a gas. That is what you need to know. So comparing with carbon dioxide, so others and all has high potential. But why we talk only about carbon dioxide? Because the total amount of greenhouse gases, 60%, more than 60% is carbon dioxide. Contribution comes from carbon dioxide. That is the reason, even though the global warming potential is less, we talk more about carbon dioxide. Okay. The next is, within this greenhouse gases, some greenhouse gases are called as short-lived climate pollutants. SLCP. Short-lived climate pollutants. Some greenhouse gases are called as short-lived climate pollutants. Okay, that is, if any greenhouse gas is less than 20 years, we call it as short-lived. We call it as SLCP. The concern is it is there for a short period of time, but in that it will trap more heat. So it is more dangerous. So in this, there is one organization you have to see. It is called Climate Clean Air Coalition. Climate Clean Air Coalition. Climate Clean Air Coalition. They are the one, it's a coalition which works on this SLCP. They try to understand the SLCP behavior, how it impacts. So they say that any greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, if it is less than 20 years, we call it as a short-lived climate pollutant. Now in that, of course, methane is a short-lived climate pollutant. Some type of HFC is a short-lived climate pollutant. Even right now, we are talking about some particulate matter like black carbon aerosols, because this black carbon and all is going to be there for 14 days, but within that it will trap more heat. So that is the reason the first thing to attack is the short-lived climate pollutants within the greenhouse gases. Okay, that is what is a greenhouse gas. What is global warming potential? Clear? CCAC is an organization that is Clean Air Coalition. So in the website, try to see this. You will learn more about SLCPs, short-lived climate pollutants. Okay. So let's see, we have to stretch the class a little. Then only we can cover by tomorrow, day after tomorrow. So tomorrow also we have to little stretch. So if not, if you are not able to complete, then in the weekdays, in the evening time, we may need to have one class. Okay, so shall we stretch? The next one is, so we have understood the what is the effects of climate change, what is the causes of climate change. So now we need to see the impact. This is what very important. Normally in UPSC they used to ask the impact of climate change. So we will understand some of the major impact. So very interesting impacts we have, which we need to know what is the real, we will come to know what is the real impact of this climate change. The first one is sea level rise. Sea level rise. Okay, do you know how much the sea level has rose till now? They say that from 1900 to 2000, see, data may vary from one source to another source. 2 kilometer sea level rise and all has happened. That's all. You will not have any continent at all. As of now, the sea level has rose anywhere around 16 to 21 centimeter approximately. From places to places, it may vary. So as of now, 16 to 21 centimeter, it can vary. What IPCC says is, when you reach 2 degrees Celsius, this is a target we have kept. When this 2 degrees Celsius is sustained, it is sustained, then the sea level rise can happen anywhere around 1 meter to 4 meter. It can happen anywhere around 1 meter to 4 meter. So along with it, the Greenland, the Greenland ice will also add another 2 to 3 meters also it can add. Okay, first thing, why this sea level has rise? What is the reason for the sea level rise? This rise is going to happen. What is the reason for the sea level rise? Glacier melting. But you need to understand, 45% of the sea level rise comes by thermal expansion. 45% of the reason comes by thermal expansion. See, when the water becomes warm, it will expand. Am I right? So nearing around 45% comes from the thermal expansion. Then only comes from the Arctic melting. Of course, Greenland melting plus Greenland glacier melting and all. Then comes the Antarctic melting. Antarctica melting. So Arctic melting plus Greenland glaciers melting and then Antarctica melting. So permafrost melting, everything includes in the glacier melting. Finally, the Antarctica melting. So this is what the reason. So now let's try to understand. Suppose, so 2 degrees Celsius, I told you 1 meter to 4 meter rise is happening. Suppose if a 1 meter rise of sea level happens, let us take Indian context. Just a 1 meter rise happens, approximately 7,000 square kilometer will be lost. 2 meters, 4 meters and all happen, of course, a major area will be lost. So just imagine the infrastructure of Chennai, Mumbai, the various port, Trivandrum cities and all. You just calculate the cost. How many dollars it will be or how many rupees it will be. Suppose assume that it is going to get submerged, you need to reconstruct a Chennai, you need to reconstruct a Mumbai, you need to reconstruct a port. How much rupees it will needed? It will run into trillions and billions of dollars or trillions and trillions of rupees, which you cannot. Just a rise of 1 meter to 2 meter, the disaster, the destruction of our infrastructure is going to be very huge. Just imagine in Chennai, how much infrastructure you have, Mumbai. So apart from Chennai, Mumbai port, metro train with bridges, with roads, building, commercial complexes, high-rise building. So if you want to reconstruct it, just imagine. It's not at all possible. I'm right. So it's not a very easy task. So that is what it seems that, okay. So just a rise of 1 meter, 2 meter and all, it's going to have a huge loss. That is one side. Now 1, 2 meter rise and all, definitely this island countries, when 2 meter rise and all happens, that time many island countries will be completely get submerged. So Mauritius, Maldives and all. Okay, now IPCC says that these island countries, what they are going to become, they are going to become an enviro migrant, or they are going to become a climate refugee. Do you know what they are doing? So now they are planning this, island countries and all want to purchase land from Africa, Indian and all, Indian continent, African continent and all. Then only they have to resettle. Definitely after 50 years of time, 50 years is a time period they have given. So 50 plus years, definitely these island countries and all will get submerged. So because of that reason, all the small island countries have formed an association, which is called IOSIS, Alliance of Small Island State Countries. Alliance of Small Island State Countries. Alliance of Small Island State Countries. They formed an association. What is that association? Around 40 plus small island state countries are formed. They are actively participating in the UNFCCC conference because they want justice, because their land is going to get submerged. Okay, they want to reconstruct. For that, land is needed. All the infrastructure has to be reconstructed. So one side, we need to give money for these people to get reconstruct. Second, we should also, spend our money for reconstruction of our infrastructures. So this is what, the biggest impact we are going to have. A small 1 degree Celsius rise, 2 degrees Celsius rise, the 1 meter, 2 meter itself, a tremendous impact is going to happen in the system, in the country. This is the first impact we are going to find. Okay, now when you take this melting, I told you Arctic melting, Greenland melting, Antarctic melting. So whether Arctic and Antarctic, whether Antarctica is melting, most of the time they talk about Arctic melting. So whether Antarctica is melting or not melting. Yes, both are melting, Arctic and Antarctic melting, but Arctic is melting at a rapid rate than the Antarctica. So Arctic is melting at a very rapid rate than the Antarctica. So how to find it? So if you take this, let us take Arctic, Antarctic. So why Arctic is melting at a rapid rate? So the first reason is you need to know the geographical feature. Probably you know this. Arctic is a ocean. On the ocean, the ice glaciers are floating. On the ocean, the ice glaciers are floating. Okay. Yes. Second is all the source of heat is also in the northern hemisphere. Am I right? All the industries, see America, all including India, all China, all the industrial activities happening here. All the industrial activities happening here. Okay, source of heat is also there. Moreover, warm current also, that warm current also goes to the Arctic. Anyway, that is not a major factor. Okay, apart from that, one more reason. In Arctic, you will get a summer cyclone. There is a summer cyclone. During the summer cyclone, what happens? You see, these glaciers are broken into pieces. The summer cyclones will break the glaciers into pieces. So because of that, it will get easily melted off. So that is another main reason. Arctic summer cyclones will break the glaciers into pieces. Because of that, it can get easily melted in the summer month. That is the reason Arctic is melting at a faster rate. Okay, come to the Antarctic. You need to understand, Antarctica, definitely the southern hemisphere, source of heat is very less. And a very important geographical feature is Antarctica is a continent. It is a continent where ice graft is formed. The big block of ice is formed. It is not it's not rather than a glacier, it is like an ice graft, GRAFT. So recently, one big, ice graft is broken. So it came in news, 1 or 2 days back. But they also told that it will not result in sea level rise. They told that it will not result in sea level rise, but one big ice graft is broken. So Antarctica is a continent, it's a big ice graft. At the same time, you should know that Antarctica ice is seasonal. That is, it forms in the summer, it forms in the winter, it melts in the summer. That forming and melting will happen, throughout. That is one. And why this ice is not getting melted faster is because Antarctica, two reasons. Antarctica is surrounded by cold ocean. And cold ocean current is surrounding this entire Antarctica. And apart from that, there is another reason which they don't have a clear proof. This entire Antarctica is encircled by one circumpolar wind. There is a circumpolar wind that is encircling the entire Antarctica. Now, this cold ice surrounding the entire Antarctica, the circumpolar wind, which is encircling Antarctica, it is compacting the ice. It is compacting and thickening the ice. Compacting and thickening the ice. That is the reason the ice is not getting very melt. That is the reason ice is not melting faster. But anyway, ice is melting, but it's not melting at a faster rate. Because the first thing is it's ocean current. The entire Antarctica is a continent. It is a ice graft, seasonal. Second is it's surrounded by cold ocean. Third is it is circumpolar wind. Okay, they are not very clear how the circumpolar wind is created. Probably they say that from the ozone hole, a jet stream would have escaped. Something they say. They are not very clear about it. But the circumpolar wind and the cold ocean, it's compacting and thickening the ice, which is resisting the melting. Okay, moreover, Antarctica is a continent. That's the reason Antarctica is melting at a slower rate than the Arctic. Antarctica is melting at a slower rate than the Arctic. Okay, so recently also another news came, Antarctica is melting from the bottom, but we are not very clear about it. So many sources, but right now the sources, Arctic is melting at a faster rate because of this reason. Antarctica is melting at a slower rate because of this reason. Okay, That is about the Arctic versus Antarctic melting. So the first one is sea level rise. So sea level rise, you see the impact is going to be very, very, very tremendous impact for all the continent, for all the coastal regions. Okay, for all the coastal regions and also for the island country. That is the first one. The second one is, the second impact is changes in regional climate. Changes in regional climate. Okay. Changes in regional climate. Okay, first, when you take a global climate, what are the changes we are going to find? Apart from Arctic and Antarctic, the first thing they say that the subpolar latitude, above the temperate to subpolar latitude is going to have more precipitation. The precipitation is going to be more. The rainfall is going to be more because anyway Arctic is melting, more moisture is going to come. So definitely the frontal rainfall in that region may increase. So increase precipitation in the subpolar. Okay. What is going to happen to the subtropical? So now when you come to the subtropical rainfall is going to, precipitation is going to reduce. So because of that, deserts is going to expand. Desert is going to expand. Okay. So what is going to be in the equator? Not very clear, but in the equator, sorry. Precipitation is going to reduce in the subtropical. In the equator, we will experience more heat waves. More heat waves is going to happen. Okay, this is what we are going to find the global pattern. Okay. Now, coming to the regional. So when come to the regional, what we are going to experience is called extreme weather event. Right now we are experiencing see, now you see the monsoon rainfall, Kerala flood, the northeast monsoon, Chennai flood. You see the monsoon extreme. It becomes very erratic, right? Monsoon is becoming very erratic. And today we find a lot of El Nino effect. More El Nino effect is prolonging. And once upon a time, Western disturbance. You know that Western disturbance, normally sometimes Western disturbance generally comes in the month of January, February. But now the Western disturbance is expanding. Now you see this number of cyclones that come, typhoons, cyclones and all. Just a minute. Hello. Okay, sorry, I'll come back. So Western disturbance is increasing. Now you see the cyclones, number of cyclones is increasing. Arabian Sea cyclones is increasing. Bay of Bengal cyclones is increasing. Now they say that Bay of Bengal, a new cyclone has formed. Flash floods is increasing. Hailstorm is increasing. Am I right? Desert flooding is increasing, drought is increasing in the African countries, desertification is happening. Okay, and apart from that, a very important thing is desert flooding. What is the desert flooding? Now you can see here this. Just a minute. One thing. Okay, it's not there. Okay, so picture does not come. Anyway. So now you can see in the website, the Atacama Desert, the driest desert, a few years back, it got flooded. So how a driest desert is getting flooding? And a very important thing is polar vortex. Probably you heard about polar vortex. Now, if you take America, normally the month of January, America used to receive cold waves. So that 1 week time, they will have a complete snowfall where the entire road will be completely snow. But what happened, you see, this cold wave, the snowfall has increased for more than 3 weeks. And of course, the road is completely filled with snowfall where they have to use a machine and clean it. The normal day-to-day life has got affected. Okay, why it has increased? Very simple. In the Arctic, there is a cyclone called polar vortex. It's a cyclone. Normally, it is confined. Now, inside, all the cold waves will be there. Now, in the climate change, this temperature and this temperature has become equal because warming is happening in the Arctic. Because of that, now the cyclone has come till down. Now, all the cold wave have entered in the American. So probably they would have told you there is something called polar vortex. So it is purely because of climate change. Even White House itself said that it's purely because of climate change. So if you take all our extreme weather events, so right now, why it is happening? So now if you take Indian Meteorological Organization, they say that this extreme weather event is happening. Of course, something unusual is happening. We do not know the reason for it. But most of the climate change experts say that it is only because of the climate change. So hereafter, we are going to find more disasters, more cyclone, erratic monsoons. Okay, sometime the southwest monsoon will come down, northeast monsoon, more rainfall, more cyclones. So that and all unusual things can happen. That is what we call it as a extreme weather event. Extreme weather event. In the geography, try to see. So just go to the website and try to learn more about extreme weather events. Okay, the third one is changes in ecosystem. Now here, right now we find that there are some vulnerable ecosystem which is degrading. Do you know what is that? Tundra. Tundra is completely melting because of climate change. Mangroves is becoming extinct. Corals are becoming extinct. Seagrass bed is also becoming extinct. Okay, and of course, in the types of ecosystem itself, we discuss about tundra. Okay, permafrost melting, what is the consequence, that and all. All right, that is what. So right now we find that more extinctions of species. Okay, apart from that, in the plant, trees, what is happening? You see, many trees are dying immediately. That is something called forest dieback. Okay, that's called forest dieback. Okay, what is a forest dieback is? When a large number of trees, so just make note what is forest dieback. When a large number of trees dies suddenly, when large number of trees die suddenly without an obvious cause. When a large number of trees die suddenly without an obvious cause. That is something called forest dieback. Probably it may be because of pathogens, bacteria or something, maybe because of drought, even because of acid rain. But today, the Food and Agriculture Organization says that this forest dieback happens because of climate change. It is a climate change induced dieback because climate change influences drought. Climate change also influences pathogens. I'm right. When the temperature increases, bacterial activity will increase, viral activity will increase. So these are also a reason for the forest dieback. Okay, it is also further magnifying the global climate change. So that's what called forest dieback. Okay, apart from that, nowadays we find that pollens are getting damaged because of climate change. The quality of the pollen is getting reduced. So pollens, if it is lost, if the quality of the pollens are lost, then obviously reproduction cannot happen in the plant. So plant fertility will come down. Okay, that is one thing we are experiencing. Apart from that, we are also experiencing early flowering. So if you take a mango tree, the flowering happens only during the month of January, February, am I right? Or February or March or something. Now, suppose the same temperature if you're going to get by the month of December, yes, that is what today many early flowering is happening. Because of that, many mutualistic relationship is getting affected. Okay, now like this, the various ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem is getting damaged. And when come to the animal, of course, animals are also very sensitive. Now they have found that fertility of the animal is reduced because of climate change. Fertility of the animal is also getting reduced because of climate change. Okay, this and all comes under the changes in the ecosystem. Okay. Okay, with this we will stop. We will continue tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow we may have to stretch, so please be prepared. So any doubts, please ask me. Who mentioned forest dieback? It is FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. See, tomorrow we have to complete it. If it is needed, we may have to stretch even for 8:30. That's the last class. Yes, see, afforestation will release evapotranspiration. Yes, it will create water vapor, but parallelly it will also capture carbon dioxide. Okay, even water vapor we have, the amount of water vapor will also be influenced by the temperature. See, polar vortex, what is polar vortex is? In the Arctic, we have a cold cyclone, which is called polar vortex. So inside we have all the cold wind. Now, in America, normally this polar vortex does not have any influence on America. But now what they say is this temperature and this temperature, because of climate change, is becoming equal. Okay, so because of the climate change, this temperature is equal. So that is the reason it has the flexibility to come down, so that all the cold wave enters into the American side. So this is what we call it as a polar vortex. Yes, everything I will share. See, GWP for water vapor is not calculated because it's very difficult to calculate, because water vapor will change, am I right, according to the temperature. So that's the reason GWP is not so easy to calculate. Okay, we'll see tomorrow how. Okay, fine. If you're not comfortable in stretching the class, we can have it on the weekdays. That also we can do. Yes, global warming. Yes, definitely. When carbon dioxide level comes down, global warming will be reduced. See, that is a calculative methane calculation for 20 years, 100 years and all, potential for calculating. That is what they do it. So we cannot get into the technical details and all. In a biomedical waste, if you take a human organ, so even take a veterinary hospital, animal organ, so both are disposed of the same, method, incineration or deep burial. See, GWP chart, you can go and see in the net itself. Better you see in the net itself, because the chart what I've given is a very rough value. Probably it is not the exact value. Just for an understanding, I gave you. Yes, the next impact and all, tomorrow we will discuss. Some more impacts we will discuss. Okay, so tomorrow, 2 o'clock, we will see.